welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 223, with me, George, and this week joined by RGT, and he's back. Pop the Pyros, it's Triple S, Seb. These men are Lennon and McCartney to my failed audition for the Quarrymen. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Very, very well. Very well.
It's going good. Gentlemen, can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Hear your voice again. It's lovely.
There's a buzz in the air. There's electricity that's going through the air. It's going all the way from Texas, all the way across the Atlantic, all the way to the UK. And everyone, you can hear the buzz. It's a bit of a buzz, and then it turns into a rumble. And that rumble sounds like the people. The people are chanting. They are glad. All the millions and millions of Sam's fans are rejoicing because finally Triple S has rejoined and took his rightful place amongst you lads in the UCP podcast. Gentlemen, thank you for having me back.
Listen, let's get caught up because PAX, big games event over there. You went there as our roving reporter, and then things went quiet. I employed Mouse, the bounty hunter, to go over and try and find out what's going on. And I heard back that you'd kind of fell in with a tearaway Texan pastor with a checkered past. And it transpired that he had sort of co-opted you into joining a cult. But Mouse mounted up. He got his little sidearm, and he is a mouse, so it's a very small sidearm, probably, unrecognizable to the human eye. He went in there and got you out. He bust you out. I do believe Ray was the getaway mobile. You're back with us now, safe in Mumsy's bosom. All I can say is you've been missed, not only here, in the Discord, and everywhere else. Welcome back. On a genuine note, breaking the fourth wall, sir. Are you well?
I am absolutely fantastic. Yeah, this year's been just on a crazy note for me. So full transparency here, like I was lured in, by I guess you could say the allure of a Texan pastor who basically said, you know what, we're going to pay you more, absolutely more money than the Furcade Corporation. And you know me, money talks in all facets of life. So I said, sir, I'm going to jump on that horse and I'm going to ride with you. And he took me to this little strange place called El Paso, Texas. And not a whole lot there. There's a whole couple of movie theaters. You can see the tumbleweeds. It's very stereotypical of what you think of Texas and such like that. And, everything was going well. We had a meeting. We sat down and, it was about 5 hours into the meeting and such like that I realized I was at a combine, man. And and the crazy thing is, they wouldn't let me out for a little while. And next thing you know, I got hooked on this thing called Sweet Baby Ray's. Have you heard about it? It's a barbecue sauce, really popular in the States. Anyways, got hooked on this Sweet Baby Ray's. They barbecued the heck out of some meat to briskets all the way around and everything like that. Gained 10 pounds while I was there. And then this little mouse came, jumped over the wall, started slapping people left and right, and said, "We gotta get you out of here. We gotta get you this back to civilization." And I looked at that mouse and I said, "5-0?" And he said, "No, that's my cousin." And I said, "All right, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter." So me and him hightailed it out of here. And I'm back, guys. I am officially back in civilization. Left El Paso behind. Still took a bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's on the go and everything like that. Plan on doing a nice little barbecue this weekend for Father's Day. But I digress. It's been a little bit of a up and down struggle. And outside of that, to break the fourth wall, to let everyone in for a little bit. In real life, outside of the cult and all that kind of stuff, like I got laid off this like earlier this year, and I was trying to figure out what life looks like next, and what I was gonna do. I had to put things on pause a little bit and try to reconfigure my life around and such like that. And then everything sort of aligned recently to where I got a lot of momentum back in life and such like that. So we all fall down. I got back up, and it's great being here with y'all guys. Sorry, it's been a while.
You don't need to apologize. Either within the story lore of the show, which if you're a new listener, you're probably thinking, what the hell is going on here? Well, there's 222 episodes to go dig through. It's a good lore. say it's good. It's above average. To be fair, I'm probably going to be selling it. It's okay. All right. But what other podcast has got lore like this?
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall. It's good to have you back. Let's not dwell on it. Let's feast on the positives here. Dog got you out. You're back with us. To anyone wondering if this is a video game news show, it is. So let's just give people a heads up of what's going down. We've got some news coming up, which is the very hottest news, as always. We've got Ray. No other show's got a Ray. We've got a Stingray. Wait till the end of the episode to find out what he's looking like this week. But before all that starts, what we like to do is dig in and let you know what we've been playing. And because I'm all ears, I don't know whether he's been playing a Tiger Electronics game in that cult, locked up on his bunk bed, or what, but Triple S, Seb, what, sir, have you been playing?
Before I dive into what I've been playing, can I ask you a question? Like, I want to get your opinions.
Yeah, grind in there.
Yeah, for sure. I know we have the news going on and such like that, and I know we have the video game releases, but I want to bring a topic to y'all's attention because I want your opinion. Last year, I touted that it was probably one of the best years ever as far as video game releases. I felt like, especially on the AAA level, it had a lot of stuff for a lot of people. You know, there was a lot of variety there. Yeah. I want your opinions. Like, how do you feel about this year so far in video games? Do you feel like it's a slow year? Do you feel like it's very specialized? Do you feel like this year has been like you've been feasting because a lot of games have come out for you? I'm curious on how y'all feel about this year.
Me personally, I feel like I've been scratching deeper and deeper into my backlog, which is no bad thing. I'm struggling to kind of find a game that I've gravitated towards this year. You know, things are a little bit, and this is no disrespect, but you know, things are a little bit dicey when Georgie Boy's playing online games and Georgie Boy's playing Helldivers 2. I mean, if you'd have took me back in time and said, "Oh, you're going to really start enjoying this online game," I'd think, absolutely not. But to be fair, I've had a really good grip on with that. In terms of this year, I do feel it's been a bit barren. Our own Stingray has turned up with barely a morsel in the boot from one week to the next. In terms of there's indie kicking about. Don't get me wrong, there always is, but wading through that sometimes is quite hard. Breaking the meniscus of that, there's not really been any. To say there's been no AAA is completely wrong. To say there's been no sort of second-party studio developments is also wrong, because we've seen Stellar Blade, we've seen lots of other games of that caliber come out, but just haven't really hit for me. I think it'd be wrong to say in June this year's a bit of a bust, but I'm just excited to see what comes out the back of it. Obviously, we had the Xbox showcase, and that had some things in there that kind of whet my appetite for things that are interesting. We'll get into that in the news, but I think I'll be honest, I think they absolutely delivered. We've been saying for some time they need to turn up and show us something. They did. I mean, it was a bit lacking in terms of, you know, nailed on release dates for some of the things that I saw, which would have put the hype train through the roof if they'd done some, you know, like they did with Hi-Fi Rush, if they'd done a stealth drop on us, if they'd done something along those lines of a game of that caliber, we kind of know on the edge of the industry what has been going on and what games have got coming out. But, you know, to have stealth dropped for the masses something of, you know, that of a good caliber, I think would have just put that whole thing into orbit.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah. I mean, it was a chef's kiss. Chef Ramsay's not going to come along and tip the pan on the floor, is he? And start swearing profanities at Xbox. That's a fact. But yeah, I was very happy with what I saw there. I think this year's probably going to be, you know, something where it's a bit more traditional, where we start grinding into the games, sort of Q3, Q4, ready for that sort of holiday release season. I see that getting quite busy and congested there. I think we've probably quite rightly had a little bit of breathing space, I think, at the beginning, which has been good. It's allowed us all to kind of break the backs of our backlogs and hopefully arrive at the back end of the year with a slightly less embarrassing 6-foot high stack of games I still haven't played. and a little bit of a hunger for more. I've totally dominated that whole conversation, so I want to spin it over to RGT.
Do you feel the same way, RGT?
I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to speak about this on the show, actually. I think a word for me this year so far is deflated. I've this week especially, the current gen we've got, the Switch, we've got the PS5, we've got the Series
the Switch.
X. Yeah, well, that is for Nintendo, but
yeah.
My free...
Hang on. I just need to pause you there because we just need to get Seb caught up. The Switch is dead, baby. It's not dead. It's on ice.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
I think, I would probably call it life support, like we know it's dead. It's just
my God.
No one wants to say
RGT,
it.
RGT, what were you saying?
We just don't want to say it out loud.
My current three, current gen consoles as such are the Switch, PS5, and I've got a Series X. This week especially, I have got no passion to play those three whatsoever. I have played them, but I seem to have lost. The only thing that's piqued me a bit was the Xbox Showcase. Watching that really got me a bit excited for some games coming out, especially, first party ones for Microsoft. But I just don't know. This year, I think it's a combination of, we knew this year was probably going to be a bit of a downer anyway. Last year, we were exceptionally spoiled. I think that the two of those colliding is really, and I just find myself, and I know it's probably not your thing, Seb, but for me, I've been more excited going back through back catalogues of PS3, Xbox 360, been loving them, and that's what I've been sort of more excited to play. And we had this conversation not last week, before, cruising through PlayStation Premium, Games Pass, and it's just end up playing nothing. You're so spoiled for choice, and I know this sounds a really stupid thing to moan about. There's too many things on there, but sometimes you just need that big banging game is coming, to get you excited for it. And especially with PlayStation at the moment, that isn't there. And even though the Xbox Showcase is really good, don't forget quite a few of these are 2025. So I just don't know. I just feel really drained of current gen at the moment, and I just I'm looking elsewhere to play games at the moment to get excited for. And I just find, especially like I say, with the PS3, even PS4, you got massive libraries there. You can pick the games up for next to nothing, and I could dive into series that I've never experienced before. And I've really been sort of swaying that way. I've actually been forcing myself to turn on the PS5 and Xbox Series X. And I've gone 2 or 3 weeks sometimes without even turning them on, So it's a struggle this year. I'll put it that way. And I don't know whether it is because of last year. I've had a bit of burnout from having so many games. I don't know. But yeah, I think, like I say, going back to what I said, deflated, I feel a bit this year with the whole situation. And because there's been all the drama as well, the Xbox and the closing the studios. And yes, it was it's not a nice thing, but that's all you hear on the internet. It's all you see, and everything seems quite negative at the moment. And it's just even the state of play was okay. It was all right. I wouldn't say it was inspirational, but I think just to get me back on board a little bit, I think the Xbox Showcase dragged me back up a little bit. But we just need some positive things, I think, this year with
The fact that they've
current gen.
addressed every issue I ever had with Flight Simulator and they've added in those jobs has suddenly made it the snow runner of the skies. And I'm salivating like a starving pig just to lick its earlobe.
See,
So
I'm glad you
asked
said
the
that.
question. So, what's your take? Fresh out of the cult. What are you seeing here? Because you've got fresh eyes on this.
You know, I've been thinking about this all year because I too feel like this year has been lacking, but I couldn't put my finger on it until I start analyzing things outside of the medium. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, last year I think was one of the best, if not the best, video game release years ever. And I think this year so far, TV shows is kind of having that same kind of like oomph there, and whereas video games has kind of slid off. But because like TV shows, you got House of the Dragon, you got The Bear, all sorts of different. It feels like Fallout was really good. You got that. The Boys is coming back this week as of this recording. I'm like, it feels like every single week we are getting a banger of high quality on TV shows. And I looked at that and I analyzed, okay, right now in video games, it feels like Netflix. It feels like we have a lot of choices, but none of those choices feel high premium choices. You know, like it's either like very much a acquired taste sort of thing to where like a lot of the games that have come out so far, whether it be Stellar Blade, whether it be Yakuza Like a Dragon, and I love the first Like a Dragon, but Infinite Wealth is the same game with just a little bit of a different spin to it. Final Fantasy VII Part 2. There's a lot of Grand Blue Fantasy, Persona 3. All those games have a very anime like way of storytelling. And if you're really not, you have to be in the mood for that. And you also have to be like a fan of that style of storytelling. And if you're looking for something different, besides Prince of Persia and Dragon's Dogma, which Dragon's Dogma really doesn't tell a very cohesive story at all. It's more about like, it's a very much a PS3 RPG. So unless you're into those sort of things, you're very much starved on the AAA side of the fence. And
I think what I found as well, and like I say, I know I'm saying I'm complaining because there is, if you've got the subscription packages, there's thousands of games to play. But I feel like there's loads of games being thrown at me, but nothing is sticking. And I can't find that game that grabs me. And I don't know whether it is because of last year, because of all the AAA goodness we had, or whether it is just, whether it's me, I'm just in a bit of a funk at the moment with the games. I don't know.
I think this far into this current gen, we're just expecting that game that sits us on our backsides. I was also doing some sort of timeline research. And if we go back to the PS4's launch, if we map that to the PS5, we wouldn't even have had Red Dead 2 yet. You know, and that, although Xbox and Sony claim we're halfway through the life cycle of this machine, I say, well, there's lots of good things to come yet. Obviously, you know, we've got some big games out there on the horizon that we're just waiting to sort of solidify and come down the pipe. But I just feel like we're maybe calling it a bit too early. The PS4 had sort of cross-gen games and Xbox was the same. And I really feel like now we're starting to enter its stride. And although we feel like we're probably not seeing everything this gen's got to offer, I think by the time the holidays come around and we start pumping into 2025, I think we're going to have some really exciting stories. I think the news thread is quiet as well, which is also kind of, it brings people's spirits down a little bit. The whole industry's kind of one cog back on the gearbox because they're just kind of waiting. I see a lot of the same news stories being regurgitated. I see a lot of rumors getting span into stuff with no credibility behind them. And I see lots of sort of narratives about game design and production length and budgets and other bits and bobs. And that seems to kind of be not making excuses for the industry, but certainly has paved the way for the place we find ourselves in at the moment, which is this kind of window of nothingness. Last year was so good. And I should imagine a lot of games that maybe were going to come out last year took a look at the release cycle and went, oh, crikey, call it. Give it 12 months under the incubation and we'll come out Christmas next year because we just can't compete with some of these. And I don't blame them.
No, for sure not.
Hopefully that means that they'll be leaving that sort of cross-gen thing behind. I think the user install base, the PS5 and Series X is kind of there or thereabouts. I think the Switch 2 probably can't come quick enough. We've all talked about the Series S holding things back, and the kind of Switch being the powerhouse of sales machine it is as well. It's probably had an impact on the sort of games that we're seeing. It's got to be scalable.
So I want to follow up on something you just said, and I think that's a very intriguing thought. I do think a lot of games got out of the way of 2023, especially, and but like this is their window, man, because next year, like, Nintendo's coming back full scale with that Switch 2 and with their launch lineup, and then even more so, Nintendo's going to sell what they're going to sell, but GTA 6 is a monster. That game is going to suck up 3 months of that year, and that's just minimum. And then the holiday season, it's going to have that same recurring effect again, where the people who didn't buy it at the beginning of the year in March, well, it's looking like March, are probably going to buy that game towards the end of the year as well. So
I'll be honest, I can see that game. That game's going to be phenomenal, no questions about it. We've been waiting long enough to see what a true next gen, because GTA 5, as great as it is to be able to play it on PS4 and PS5 and Series X or whatever,
and
it came out the gen before that, and all we've
11
had,
years old, 11 years ago it came
all
out.
we've had is a shined up penny from that all the way forward. So to think the lessons they've learned from Red Dead, the lessons that they've learned from the online space, what that means in terms of what they can bring. And we never saw them actually max out. I mean, we kind of did with Red Dead 2. We saw them kind of push that current gen. But this gen, I feel like our Red Dead will be GTA 6, and that's coming early part of next year, quarter 1 or 2, or H1, depending on how you look at it. And I think that's literally going to absolutely kill the industry stone dead, because no one's going to be able to compete with that. It's going to be
for sure
an absolute juggernaut, and it's going to take some big scalps along the way, which I think is a shame. So next year is going to be interesting for sure. We'll see who dare poke the periscope up in the world that GTA 6 dominates. You're going to be brave. You've got to be brave, but you've got to be coming with something a little bit different. So that's going to be super exciting as well.
But to answer your initial question, though, I do think it is. I think it's very much an acquired taste year so far this year. I do think the later half of the year we will get those what I would call the HBO quality shows in video games that we're missing. In Star Wars Outlaws, for instance, I think this AC Shadows is the first time I've been really excited, or at least decently excited, about Assassin's Creed in a very long time. Those two look like they're going to be really good.
Let me just say about that, though, I was pumped for that when I kind of saw that CGI reveal trailer. I was like, wow, is this CGI?
The gameplay.
And then I saw the gameplay and I was like, oh, God, it's Valhalla with it. It's Valhalla with it. Oh, God, it's Valhalla with the Ghost of Tsushima skin. This is not what I...
That's exactly how most people felt about it. I felt very similar to where I was just like, oh, I'm excited to see what they do with this new setting. And then I saw the gameplay and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what this game is. Yeah. And I'm like, I know how most people are going to spend that 40 to 80 hours in that game just by
more. Come on.
Yeah, by the 2 minutes that we saw in the gameplay trailer. I feel the opposite kind of happened with Dragon Age. Was it Vanguard?
I think that's what it was. Yeah,
it's either Vanguard or Vanguard. But I feel the opposite happened, to where like a lot of Dragon Age fans saw the first trailer where it was very much like a goofy, almost Dungeons and Dragons type trailer, and people were like, "Oh no, that's not Dragon Age at all." And then they saw the gameplay and they were like, "Oh, this is actually exciting."
Yeah.
So I feel like it is going to be a tale of two halves for the rest of this year. Of course, you have Flight Simulator, which looks like it'll be up your alley at least.
The previous one, that's the thing about Flight Sim. I had them on a real cranky old Pentium or something like that, like Microsoft Flight Simulator 98, and I liked it. I played the wheels off of it, to be fair. I mean, obviously, I didn't have a lot else going on. But last year's, it was and I kind of said, I predicted this online. Everyone's going to go crazy for it. There's an episode where I say this. Everyone's going to go crazy for it. They're going to get all over it. They're going to fly a plane over their house. They're going to crash into their house. They're going to crash into the mate's house. Then they're going to delete it. And it's a shame because there's actually a grip of a game there. But to bring Microsoft Flight Simulator to console, there needed to be a little bit more tickle under the chin for the console gamer. Those jobs that we saw in there means that it's right up RGT and mine's street in terms of the games that we like to nerd out to a little bit. We talk SnowRunner, Farming Simulator. To see the kind of agricultural flying, to see the sort of delivery flying, to see the Coast Guard rescue flying, to see the sort of tourist VIP private jet flying. I was like, yeah, do you know what? Even the hot air balloon flying, there's enough in it now, right, to grip in a casual and make them go, I've flown my plane into my friend's house. Hilarious. What's next? And then take on like an oil rig delivery mission again and again and again and really enjoy that. I thought that what they'd done, considering the scale of that game as well, I was absolutely blown away by the fidelity graphically of what we saw. Those hot airs, it was close to or beyond photorealistic at times in that trailer. Now, whether that's running on a Series X or HAL 9000 at Microsoft HQ and it's been ramped up to 11 on the graphic settings and everything, I was pleased to see that. And as I said earlier, I'm pleased to see that they've opened the gamut a little bit so it's more enjoyable for a kid, as an example, that's got Games Pass, who's bored of playing Fortnite or Grounded or Sea of Thieves. They've got a little bit of something to get into now. Hopefully it's not an absolutely killer install.
We're going to talk about the Xbox Showcase a little later, right?
No, this is the Xbox Showcase talk.
Okay,
we had
gotcha.
We had a solo episode last week from the Mighty Bobby, who's not with us this week. He'll be back with us next week. So we kind of missed it. There was a discussion in the Discord, and we've kind of, I probably glanced around the main points. I would say, it's old news at this point. But
I want to ask y'all a question. RGT, this is your first Xbox since the 360, right? Or did you have a one?
I had a one for a little while, but I sold it on because I understand
there was nothing on it.
There was nothing on it. I was predominantly PS4 because it was just just to be so many games on the PS4. But yeah, 360, and I've got a Series X this time round.
Okay, so George, you have an Xbox Series X?
Yeah, and an S, bizarrely.
I actually have both too. I don't know why, but
greedy little piggies. Oh,
yeah,
greedy
for sure.
little gamer piggies.
For sure. My question is the reason why I asked is like that Xbox Showcase. Did it feel like it validated your purchase yet, or do you feel like you still need to see the games come out and see the quality?
I finally felt after that showcase like it's almost ready to be deserved some respect this gen. It's kind of like there's the stuff in there that I kind of wanted to get into. We joked before about Indiana Jones only being bought by people over 40. You're not wrong. You're absolutely right.
I did say that, didn't I?
You did. And that's probably one of the best quotes you've ever said because it nailed it on. For a while, I was thinking, oh, yeah, they've done well to get this franchise. But I'll be honest with you, the Indiana Jones franchise has been killed. And
no, for sure.
Any prevailing interest in that is from people that got into Star Wars in the early 80s at best, who were looking for supplementary media from LucasArts and stumbled across Indiana Jones and went, yeah, this is flipping brilliant. I know that's what I did. But no young kids getting hyped up for Indiana Jones.
No.
I didn't think the last movie was as bad as I thought it was going to be when I actually got to it.
I actually liked it. It's just nobody watched it.
Nobody watched it. And I'll be honest with you, the thing is with it, it was like drinking water. You sat down wanting to satiate your Indiana Jones thirst. You picked up this glass of this gorgeous looking stuff. You gulped it all down. It tasted of nothing. Nothing happened in that film, really. And the whole sort of spoilers for a goodness knows how old film now, a year. That whole time travel element. I know we've had some fantastical stuff in Indiana Jones. But whoo-wee, that was just an extra level of turd to swallow and chug down. I bulked it up a couple of times. I managed to keep it down in the end, and I came out feeling like I'd seen an Indiana Jones film. But pivot back to the game. I'm quite excited to see it. It's nice. It's been well put together. It's been put together by people that have a very keen eye for Indiana Jones lore, and
Machine Games does a really good job as well with Wolfenstein and all that. So
exactly, and the voice acting is actually good. In the latest trailer, I felt like Indy's likeness kind of had skewed off a little bit from the original trailers that I saw. It kind of looked like Harrison Ford light, or they'd just got the stunt double in or something for some facial capture. I don't really know, but I don't want to sort of stomp all over it. I'm still hoping for good things from that. So yeah, fingers crossed. Listen, I'm
curious.
Before the episode gets away from us, said, I've got to know, because this is actually more important.
Okay.
What have you been playing?
Oh yeah. I'm on a simulator kick right now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You laughed. You laugh. You say sorry now, you naughty little boy.
I am sorry. Simulators, when they hit, they really hit. They really hit. So
the thing is, this is where you tell me that the simulator that really hit for you is Dave the freaking Diver, and I'm sorry, but that's not what I call a sim. So what's this sim?
No, that's roguelike. That's more of a roguelike. But I will. So there's this game called Blockbuster Inc. And basically, you are head of a production studio from the ground. You're starting it from the ground up, and you are tasked with making a movie studio that is the best movie studio in the world. So
we saw that at WSD Live, did we not?
Yes, we did. Yeah,
we got a preview hands-on, didn't we?
Yeah, because I think they had the developers over on a lot of voice chat, didn't they?
That's right. Seb, let me ask you this question though, before you've been playing this game, which I'm actually quite excited to find out about, because I was a massive fan of Lionhead or Bullfrogs, the movies. Were you aware of that on the periphery before you got into this?
No, not even.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm
just being honest.
This is its spiritual successor. So I'm quite hyped to hear what you've got to say about it.
I feel like it is a really cool concept. I didn't know it was already like a spiritual successor or something else. So I gave it credit for being an original concept, but I digress. I think on the surface level, this is a very fun game. Now, when you get into the minutia of like some of the crafting elements, I think that needs a little bit of work, such as like being able to put like desk flushly against the wall so that you can craft things like more efficiently and effectively. I feel like that needs a little bit more work, but I feel like the concept of you hiring directors, writers, actors, et cetera, is really well done. I like that there's a system management where you have to manage everyone's happiness levels. I like the fact that they expect certain things to be catered to them, such as when they get bigger, such as like housing, or like food and such like that. So there's different ways you can keep them happy. I do think like I feel like this feels like a 0.5 release so it almost feels like a beta release as opposed to a 1.0, again, because of some quality of life issues. I do think if maybe the housing market that you're able to like rent for your talent doesn't grow and expand. So as you grow and expand your roster, eventually you're going to have to let people you've trained or like had for a very long time go, because there's no way of keeping everyone happy, because there's only so much housing in this game. And I feel like that part kind of needs to be a little reworked a little bit. And I also feel like there needs to be more of an end game, because there's only 6 studios that you're really competing against. And I started my franchise in the 1920s, and I went through that whole decade into the 30s. And by 1937, I was the #1 studio, and I also had bought 90% of all the other 5 studios, which allowed me to basically rake in all the cash that they were raking in. And you can completely own them, by the way, which completely kills all the I guess you could
This
say
is
suspense.
like my Anno playthrough. You've become like
Very similar. Yeah.
I really have. And it's like
what power does to people.
I really have. I bought like all the other studios and I owned everything. I felt like Walmart, low key, where I just bought all the small businesses out and I was just like, I am the king now. If you want to watch movies, you go through me. And and yeah, it's like and by the 1920s, I had unlocked what was it? Crime films, cop films, romance, drama. So I basic genres like westerns as well. So I unlocked all those basic dramas. I hadn't even got to like the superheroes or the supernatural or horror or anything like that. And I already had like $300 million over the next studio. And so I feel like if you have to ratchet that difficulty up to the highest to even get a challenge for this game.
Do you produce a movie in that game that you can watch or not?
You can. It's just you're not gonna want to watch it because it's like it's almost like early choppy stop motion that you can watch the movie again, but it's like you're watching characters that don't have dialogue. You're also like so the stunts that you do are very basic. So you can do like, you can make people fall down at certain scenes. So you can actually direct a whole film. You can make them like fight each other, and there's a injury factor that may or may not be involved. And then so like you have different things that you can like fully watch after you produce the movie. It's just not. I don't think it's compelling enough. Unless you just like, I got a kick out of watching my guy jump off the set, you know.
The movies had something very similar. If you just played it as a sim, as you would, it's not exactly a sim, but you know, I take your point. It's more like a managerial style sort of strategy game.
Yeah, it is very like I felt like this felt like a mod of The Sims. To where like this is a very specific like movie making mod of The Sims,
and that's what the movies was like. And when YouTube first was on the periphery, it was full of Lionhead's movies things because you could take it out of the game and you could go into create a section where you had, you know, the full suite, and people were making replicas of Star Wars. A lot of people in the early days of YouTube obviously didn't have any animations, so they were using the movies to kind of backfill between scenes that they were creating and using it for kind of special effects. So, you know, when I played
this is more hollow. This is very much more hollow than that.
When I played it and you set the AI to create a movie within the simulation element of it, you're right. When you used to watch it, it was just like this disconnected mess of blah, 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 or simish and all that sort of stuff. And it was like, oh, crikey, that's a shame. I used to sit and I didn't used to watch every film, but when I reached a new era like the 50s or the 60s, and I'd pump every single last buck and dime into this production, first ever colour film, first ever sci-fi, the whole lot. And I'd be like, yeah, boys, hired all the best actors. I felt like an absolute boss. I'll go to the premiere. I'm going to watch this. Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
No.
You're like, what did I create? What did I do?
I just thought there might be this moment of genius where they made like the movie's version of Star Wars, and I'd have been like, wow. But I was a little bit younger then, I suppose, and I guess my imagination ran away with me. Other than creating your own maniacal movie empire, what else has been sort of garnering your attention?
So I'll plug two games real quick because I don't want to take up all the time. But Balatro is one that I cannot get enough of.
Everyone's fired up about that, dude.
Love Balatro. So yeah, everyone's heard about this game. You know,
physical edition now comes with a pack of cards. Seb, did you know?
No, I do not. I will not begin the physical edition though, if I'll be honest. The pack of cards is not enough to entice me. But yeah, that's, you know, right now, not having a AAA game that really has grabbed me so far this year, other than Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, that Balatro and V Rising. Have y'all heard of V Rising?
I have, but I've not partaken in it.
Nope.
Okay, so V Rising, you start off as basically you start off as a vampire, one of the most weak creatures in Middle Earth, basically, and are the medieval era. And basically you start off with this weak vampire who, you know, you build a small little hut that you establish as your castle. And the really cool thing about this is it's Diablo, except you don't get stronger by just farming the area and beating the same enemies over and over again. You get stronger by crafting. So you craft, like, as your castle goes, you get more resources that you can basically put on yourself, like armor, weapons, gear, the whole nine yards. Yeah, so it is so inventive. And not only that, there is boss fights just like Diablo, but like each boss is very meticulous and very like thorough, where they actually thought about like, oh, this boss is like the naughty fisherman, and the naughty fisherman is like you have to beat that specific boss and in order to craft the fishing rod, and you can't craft it any other way except like you have to beat him. And for every one of those examples, like there's a glass blowing boss, there's a musketeer boss, there is pretty much every almost like most technological advances you basically have to beat a boss for, but they make it fun and challenging and engaging because each one of these bosses have their own move sets, their own abilities, their own quirks. They trash talk you. They feel almost like wrestlers, like actual like old school Attitude Era wrestlers, except thrown into like a Diablo style game with Diablo style move powers. And yeah, it's really I think one of the more innovative things about this game is like I'm not a crafting person, but they made me into one. It's like they made me care about crafting a castle. They made me care about like kidnapping these citizens and basically making them into vampires. And I'm like, oh, you work for me now. I'll equip you, and you go and you basically now I'll send you out on missions, like almost like Metal Gear Solid 5. You know how you could send off people to other parts of the map,
like Peace Walker.
Yeah, and Peace Walker. So it's like it's very much like that, except like in this version, like you actually can send them to the same parts of the map that you're going in, so you can run across your minions while you're out and about and such.
That's something that I've always ached for. Last time I thought, oh, that would be cool, was when I was playing No Man's Sky, and I sent a load of my freighters off, and I was like, oh man, it'd be really great to just stay on board and let them do their little freightering missions while I kind of sit as a passenger in the hangar bay, watch it all going on day to day. It was never going to happen, admittedly. It's a bit of a pipe dream. You have to make that game up in your head. But yeah, I like to see stuff that you've set off. A lot of these games, especially, we're talking Assassin's Creed, Revelations, was it, where you could collect people up and send them off on missions? I think it might have started in Brotherhood, where you
I think it was Brotherhood where that started.
You sent your minions off to sort of grind away for, I don't know, craftable material or collectibles that you could then use to kind of buy stuff for your inventory and weapon slots and things. But yeah, I think there needs to be more of that. And as you say, in an open world, when you stumble across your minions doing your bidding, it's one of those moments where your chest puffs up and you're like, yeah, my boys.
And yeah, exactly. It's like I came across I was heading back to my castle from like raiding like a nearby town and such, and my inventory was full, and I look over to the right at this like mining camp, and I just see everyone just saying run for your life, and I just see my minion Damien basically just mollywhopping the whole that whole little like mining area, and I get a kick out of it because Damien's like, run, you fools. Yeah. And I was like, Damien, man, Damien. Yeah. And then he looks over, and like you could see him unequipped his weapons and such, and he's like, master, and he does a little bow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then he's like, excuse me, sir, and then goes back to going like just mollywhopping everyone back in that bandit camp still. So he's like
playing this on Steam Deck.
I played this on Steam Deck. They just released it for PS5 though, this last week. So a lot of the people that I talked to, like that are also like in games journalists, they've been playing it mostly on PS5, but I've been playing it on PC and Steam Deck, and it's phenomenal. It's probably one of my favorite games I played this year on either platform. But yeah, here's another thing before I throw the reins to RGT and you about what you've been playing. This has Castlevania integrations into it as well. Right. Like, for sure. Oh, for sure. So like you can create like your castle very much in the same theme as the Dracula castle from Castlevania. You can teleport your whole castle very much like Castlevania. You can Simon Belmont is in this game as well. So, and he's one of the bosses. He's one of the bosses you can take down and defeat, and you can also unlock a lot of the gear, weapons, designs, and also like some of the cosmetics from Castlevania. So, like,
is it worth $33?
I think it's the best game this year, so I would probably say yes.
Wow.
But to be honest, you have to. Here's my thing: you have to like Diablo as far as like the gameplay goes of that, and then like you have to be okay with light crafting elements because the game is centered around you crafting your castle materials and like your armor and gear. Because if you were to take off all your armor, you go back to level 0. But each armor piece you equipped that's how you level up your character.
Okay,
it's interesting. That
RGT. In fact, one more question, Seb. Helldivers 2. Where you been?
I'm not a multiplayer guy very much. So.
I'm not. You know me. I would rather stab my firstborn in the eye than play a multiplayer game. She's now blind, right? And I'm all.
I'm about the same way. I'm about the same way about multiplayer games. But yeah, I think this is the greatest AA game this year, and it's an indie game, but slapping that PlayStation logo makes it feel AAA, and I think that studio should be very proud of what they've done.
Yeah, absolutely. Even just from a graphical fidelity point of view, but bringing in that Helldivers 1 sweet gameplay and making it 3D.
For me, it's like I don't like games that feel repetition, where I feel the repetition to where I'm like, oh, I'm just diving into the same place over and over again and just doing slightly different things. So that's the kind of thing that turns me off about the game. But I do think it is a really cool premise and concept. I've been skirting around
the sort of position that you just talked about, where it's like the same thing, but I've been doing that to myself because there's certain few key missions I like. But when I dip my toe in the water of all the other different kinds of missions that are available on all the different planet types that are available, it's like, I ought to cut them some slack, really, and try. And when you do try some of the other missions, which are slightly longer in playtime, still great. RGT,
yes.
Is Michael Elfwick coming today or not?
No, not today. It's about Seb today.
I like how you pivoted back to our recently rescued American colleague. RGT, what you been playing, you little snake?
Like I was saying earlier, it's been a bit of a struggle lately, but I did have ball border from the Discord. Yeah. Yeah, I've got.
You're not back on that, no.
No, hang on. All right, I'll say now, I'm not back on that, but I love that game so much. I was, I was in such a game funk the other day. I got back from work. I just, there was nothing I wanted to play, so I just laid on the couch and started watching someone do a playthrough of Harvestella.
Oh no!
An absolute
loser.
I mean, what I would say is, you're an addict.
Yeah, and
yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
I watched about 40 minutes, and I just thought, what am I doing? I've put 130 hours in this game. Just get yourself together, find something to play. This is ridiculous.
In terms of sins, you're absolved because someone spent far longer on a. Oh, dude. I don't know who's interested, but a new Anno game comes out next year based in the Roman era.
Anyway, should we say about what I was
playing? PS5. Hang on a minute now.
I like how in the Ubisoft showcase, because I think that was the Ubisoft showcase, right?
It was.
It was like I was watching. I was around a couple of people, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is like the Ubisoft announcement." They said they were going to do a brand new IP. Everyone was excited. The energy was palpable. And then Anno came in, and it was just like someone gut punched everyone.
Tell me you stood up like a statued phallus, just rigid.
I did. You know what? I did. I said, you know what? I was just like, I was that same person during Summer Game Fest when everyone was just like, oh my God, 2K is going to announce something. It's going to be Borderlands. It's going to be Mafia. I'm so excited. And then they announced Civilization 7 and everyone's like, no. And I'm over here.
I stood up for that.
Yeah. And I'm over here like 1,692 hours into Civilization 6. And I'm like, the king The King of the North is back. So I did feel that Anno thing. I was just like, whoa. There's an audience for this. Y'all just aren't it, you know?
It's one guy from Farmerton, but he's all over it like a rash. RGT,
There's
what?
Five
what
people
else?
who love this game, man. Have some respect.
What else have you got snuck back there, friend?
Anyway, so me and Board from the Discord, we had a bit of a game shed night here in the shed. So same again, we thought, what should we play? And then we thought, well, whenever we go to the arcades, we always play, we normally play Virtuous Striker. So I thought, well, we'll put the Dreamcast one on, see what it's like. And I mean, it is nearly arcade perfect. It is
good on there, isn't it?
Oh, he's so much fun. I mean, he beat me every game, but it's just so fun. And then we said, come on, let's play another old football game. So then we said about the indoor mode on the old FIFAs. We used to play like 5-a-side.
Dude.
So we went to FIFA 98 on the N64.
Tell me you didn't leave Actual Soccer on the shelf.
Actual Soccer stayed there. It didn't even get slipped out of the shelf just to have a read of it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. But saying that, I probably will next time. So I actually forgot about it. I forgot I had it. Then we played FIFA 98 indoor mode. That was good fun. And then we got talking about Tony Hawk's because he's a really good skateboarder, big skateboarder back in the day. So we got talking about skateboard games, and he said he hadn't played Tony Hawk's Underground. So I was like, you need to play that.
He hadn't played Thug?
Nope. So we stuck that on, and we ended up playing to the early hours. That we got halfway through the game, and I still love that game. It's still one of my favourite Tony Hawk's series. Underground, the first one, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, we had great fun with that. I said the other week, a couple of weeks ago when we recorded, that I was going to try a big open world game, and
Forbidden West.
Nope.
Fable.
I've done Fable. I went for Avatar.
No, not the Ubisoft one.
I'm done with you. You're fired. You're rehired because I can't live without you. But for a moment there, you were toast.
Hang on, I haven't said my views on it yet.
Oh, go on.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Graphically, it's a banger on PS5 and Series X.
It's beautiful looking. It's just Far Cry.
It's good looking. Even my daughter came in and I was playing it, and she said, "Oh, the forest and that looks really good and colourful and graphically good. Character models are pretty good. They're all right." But it's that Ubisoft thing for me. Tell me if I'm wrong, listeners. Put it in community corrections. I always find, or 9 times out of 10, with an Ubisoft game, they don't know how to start the game. They don't pull you in from the start on any of their games. Watch Dogs, this Avatar game, some of the Assassin's Creed. There's not that dramatic start to get you hooked in.
Listen, to kind of pivot off that, back to kind of something Seb said earlier, I'm pumped for Star Wars Outlaws. Don't get me wrong. I feel like I need it now. I feel like that might be my kind of thing I'm swinging towards. But I, like you, I'm real nervous that they're going to kind of cook that landing. And it's that first 20 minutes or that time between starting the game and pressing a button, which is the measure of a good action game, I would say, or it's certainly a measure of metric in the industry. Like, I need that to be sweet. I need that to be, I'm talking Jedi Fallen Order, kind of grab you by the seat of your pants and drag you in.
You think of some of the best single-player games that, have these great stories at the start, your Uncharted's, Last of Us, Spider-Man. That's that first hour you play where they know how to hook you in and you want to play that game. You want to play more. You want to learn more. You want to learn your environment. With Ubisoft, they don't seem to do that. I mean, I tried playing that Watch Dogs Legion last year.
Oh, no.
I mean, absolutely shocking. There's no love or soul in that game whatsoever. You just get dropped in. Here's London, where you go. There's nothing to.
It's not enough anymore.
And although this was an okay start with Avatar with the story, I sort of thought, okay, I'll have a look. But then you're sort of in the world, and it's go and get this. He needs some medicine. You need to break these trees to get it. You come back, then you find a resistance base. Then you go to the base, and then you go out on a mission to break a tower. And after about 2 hours, I was just like, is this what it's just going to be for the whole game? Just going out and getting this and going out. And I just thought, yeah, I think I need more than ever now is Forbidden West. Now I think I need.
They call that the Ubisoft formula. It's the same thing. Watch Dogs is the same thing as Far Cry, which is that's
that's the thing that's making my niche rattle together about Outlaws. I really want that to be good, but it's basically going to be Avatar with a Star Wars skin. It's basically going to be all their other stuff with a.
I think you're going to be right, and honestly,
the thing is, I'm starting to see on the periphery some good things being said about how it's actually okay, but it's a bit of a hot mess of loads of different ideas, and then that's maybe what's kind of holding it back. It's a bit of a patchwork quilt, which, if you find the kind of subsystem within the game that you're into, and you're into that little subsystem, you know what, it can rock. Look at me, Assassin's Creed 3, probably my favorite one, and I think like that ship element of it, which wasn't pivotal to the main story if memory serves, ended up being my favorite element of the game. Like, I think that element of it is better than Black Flag in its entirety. I don't care what anybody says. I will face you down in the street. So
I don't think anyone's going to argue about Assassin's Creed that fiercely one way or another.
Listen, I don't know why, but I would die on a hill for 3. Every other game they did, I'm not even interested in. Like Black Flag, I grinded through that like a dirty dog, and didn't see anything that anybody had sort of hyped up for being an enjoyable aspect of it. 3 came in quiet, American Revolution, bait and switch on the character at the beginning. Ooh, and
George, just be honest. Say you're ready. Just say you're ready to move over here. You love baseball. AC3 is your favorite. You're ready to wave to the American flag, man.
To be honest, when I was at the baseball over the weekend, I caught sight of myself and I thought, I look more American than half of these Americans.
Yeah, probably so.
I'm like that sort of Iowa farmer kind of look to me. I'm out there on a great big stupid ridiculously sized big bud tractor pulling like 4 acres of plow behind me.
You're UCP George III.
Randy. I ain't messing around, RGT. My goddamn name would be Randy. Absolutely all day long. Randy McTruffle the Third Jr.
And now McTruffle is where you lost us. It's Randy. If you were having the name Randy, your name would be Jim Bob. Randy Jim Bob.
Randy
that sounds
Jim
like
Bob.
the
Wow.
UK description of a horny teenager.
Oh, Randy Jim Bob.
Here's old Randy Jim Bob again. Look at him, trousers round his ankles, bottle of cider in his hand. He just fell over and cracked his head open on the roundabout.
So RGT, can I give you some advice here? Like,
Yes.
Did you pay for Avatar or did you rent it?
No, it was a present for my wife for my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Be gentle, Seb.
Yeah.
No, I think that's completely understandable. What I was gonna say is next time you want to try a Ubisoft game, like spend the $20 a month to do the Ubisoft Plus thing that they have. They have Ubisoft Plus, which is basically their version of Game Pass.
Yeah.
And play everything you want and cancel after a month. At the end, so that's what a lot of people did with earlier this year with Prince of Persia.
We've already got that roped in, haven't we, as part of the premium tier? I know EA's on there, and it seems to be full.
Oh, no, I think you're right.
Games.
I think Ubisoft is on there.
I don't think Avatar is, because I think it's still pay, and I don't know whether Avatar's part of the Ubisoft Games Pass, if I'm honest, but it might.
No, not yet. So Games Pass with Ubisoft, I think they have a 1-year clause.
Yeah.
So like after 1 year, it pretty much pops up. But like, with Ubisoft Plus, you can connect the Ubisoft Plus account with your Xbox account. So I'm like,
I've done that.
Yeah. So basically, if you wanted to play
bizarre points off of the old Assassin's Creed games as I went through, and ended up being able to buy a skin for Assassin's Creed. What's the one in Paris? It's actually really good. Unity.
Syndicate or Unity? Yeah.
Okay. I ended up buying skins in Unity with what I'd kind of scraped out of the PS3 versions of Assassin's Creed 1 to all the way through Rogue as well. What an absolute desperate little man.
So that's a cheaper way of like, say you don't want to pay the $70 later this year for Star Wars Outlaws, just pay your $20 because it's automatically going to be on there.
But is it going to be on there?
They said day one. So unless they change their mind and throw that out of the window. They said like all their day one Ubisoft things are going to be on there. So it's
I usually do that with EA Play. You pay £4 for the month, and then they get the first 10 hours of the AFC for the $3.99.
Look at this dude. Look at this dude.
And then cancel. And it carries on when you actually get the game. So I just do that, just get a head start and play it month early. But
I did that with Madden as well. But yeah, so I'm curious, George. What have you been playing besides Anno?
Oh, sorry, I've still got 2 games left.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My bad.
He absorbs the limelight, doesn't he?
There was one good game out of all this I played, and it was Rollerdrome.
Oh, so fun.
That's pretty cool, actually. I've had sort of 15, 20 minutes on that.
Yeah, that's
good.
Very well made. Good game, that. Really enjoying that.
I felt like the tutorial was a little bit
stuffy,
obnoxious. Yeah, it was like, it really made you play it, didn't it? It was like, God, I think I might learn it quicker just playing the game, but I can't even get there. And it was the first tutorial in a while since Driver, probably, that made me think like, oh my God, I'm ever going to get through this.
Yeah, no, I did sort of feel that. I was sort of playing through it and enjoying it so much. Suddenly the tutorial was over and I was in the first competition and playing, and I think don't know where I am now, about halfway through, I think. It's getting tough, but it's so good. It's really addictive, and something that because of my work schedule at the moment, I can jump on for half an hour.
Controls well.
Pretty good. Controls very well. Took a lot of inspiration from other games and really works. Pays off. Really good. And finally,
I hate they closed the studio down. I was looking that up just now. I was just like, was that the studio that you got closed down like last week? I hate that.
Let's face it, it's a well put together game, and it's certainly got its column inches when it launched. But financially, it didn't do the money.
No. But I mean, I felt like it at least had a shot though, because I think they put that on PlayStation Plus way too quickly though.
Yeah,
that's what I've downloaded it from. I downloaded it from Plus.
So what's this last little gem?
Well, this sort of sums up where I've been with my gaming at the moment, and you two will find it hilarious. So my gaming funk.
Emlyn Hughes soccer?
No, it dropped down to me with the Switch laying on
Bill
the couch.
Beaumont's rugby?
Playing Sonic CD on Sonic Origins is what I was playing.
What the hell?
Yeah.
As soon as I heard Sonic, I was like, man, this man needs something. He needs something bad.
An enema. You've been playing it on the Switch?
Sonic Origins, that's another one. Mrs. RGT got me for my birthday. Sonic
Great
Origins
game,
pack.
wonderful game.
Yeah, best ever. But so I had very little memories of Sonic CD. So I thought, well, I'm going to fire Sonic CD up and play that. So I've actually been quite enjoying it. But yeah, it's just I got to that funk where I thought there's nothing else to play. I'm just going to play Sonic. I know it sounds terrible saying there's nothing else to play, because there is, but nothing that's grabbing me. So I think it's going to have to finally be Forbidden West next week. I need something to pull me out the funk, I think.
Yeah, you can play that in anticipation for Lego Horizon.
Can you? Oh wow. Can you get me one of those baseball organs? Because I could have been like Forbidden West. I'm excited. Now that you've finished the first one, I think that, and you've had quite the palate cleansers, I think you're ready for that. And I think you are going to get absolutely fished in. I'm a bit nervous off the back of you not enjoying Avatar, because those games are very similar.
There's a quality difference, though.
There
is a quality difference.
I'm sorry. The original, how old is Horizon, the first one now? What's that, 7 years? 7 years?
Yeah. Well, again, looking at the timeline of PS4 to PS5, we wouldn't have had Horizon by now either.
No.
That's crazy.
That first one is a way better put together game than Avatar. They're not on the same ballpark. So, I think I know what to expect from Forbidden West. I'm just looking forward to the graphic upgrade and how, from what I've seen trailers and from what you've said, how pretty it looks. I'm all in. I think I need this now. So it's good.
I've maybe talked about this on the show, and I've talked about it to you off air, but I got that game the day it launched, installed it, and then didn't stop playing it until
I remember you hitting that hard.
I played it all that Friday night. I played it all Saturday, all Sunday bar for 2 hours, all Monday, I had that game pretty much done in a week, and it's not a small game.
No, it's beefy.
I went all at it. I was a bit disappointed by the Burning Shores, but then again, I do find that the DLC for Horizon games seems to come just a bit too late. You kind of worked yourself out the game, you've put it down, you've played some other stuff, you've lost that muscle memory. Because by the time you get to the end of Forbidden West, you're doing some pretty out there stuff, and you're facing some pretty big stuff.
Yeah,
meaty enemies. There's definitely some, you're going to have to use all of your different materials within your arrows and your traps and all that sort of good stuff. You've really got to be on it. And then Burning Shores landed, and I was super excited because I'd really enjoyed the world, and I got into it much like I did Frozen Wilds, and it was like, oh my God, am I holding the controller upside down? What's happened to me? I can't play this.
You got curb stomped.
Oh, mate, everything was Apex as well in Burning Shores.
And especially the frogs, man.
We've spoken about those on air, those frogs. The design's amazing, but I absolutely hated them. If I knew where they lived, I'd poison their food.
But yeah, I'm excited for you, RGT, because I think Forbidden West is probably the most underrated AAA game this year. I mean, of this generation.
Oh, it had the misfortune of launching at the same time as Elden Ring, and the shame for that is, and no disrespect, because I know a lot of people that I care for very deeply jumped straight on the Elden Ring train, or got Horizon and then dropped it like a hot stone to jump on Elden Ring and never came back. And I kind of knew at that moment Elden Ring probably wasn't for me right then. I've kind of been dabbling with it, which we'll get to. But it was such a great game, and it got literally stomped into the ground next to everyone went crazy for that. Even casuals went and got Elden Ring and were talking about it around the water cooler, where I was sat talking to myself in the mirror about Horizon Forbidden West because no one else was talking about it. And I was thinking, how are people ignoring this like this? This is like the game we've been wanting.
I felt the exact same way. And then it's a shame because the first game got the same treatment with Breath of the Wild.
It did,
where it just got completely swallowed by the magnetism of that game. And I was like, no, Horizon. You're going to get Horizon all over again. It became a verb.
Yeah. Sadly. Is it my turn now? Can I talk about video games?
Yep, certainly can.
Okay, what have I been playing? I've been playing the original Like a Dragon. I'm over 6. He's kind of been I don't mention it every week because it's something that's constantly going on in the background. It's not Ishin. It's the first one I've got Ishin on the shelf, but I refuse to get
me in the FIFA and the
I refuse to get to the next one because I've been an avid fan of the story to this point, and I damn refuse to let it beat me rather than I beat. I want to beat. No, hang on a minute. Anyway, I want to play him in
Somebody's
order.
beating somebody.
Someone's beating off someone. I mean, yeah, we'll go with it. Right, someone's got beaten off, and that's totally thrown me, to be honest, man.
It looks like it threw RGT as well.
Yakuza, Like a Dragon, whatever you call it. I'm really enjoying it, but I checked my save file. I'm 60 hours deep on this bad boy, and I don't even think I'm halfway through. I'm liking all the side stuff. I'm liking all the bits. I'm loving the stories as always, the sort of sub stories. I found lots of little bits I can get my meat into.
By the way, I beat Like a Dragon about 90 hours. I think is when I rolled credit. So it is a meaty game.
Oh, so I'm 2/3 of the way through. That does give me some hope. I was speaking to Roast Space Monk in the Discord, and he was like, "It's a big game." I was like, "I know this now." I really like, although it is it's not as deep as you kind of want it to be. Ichiban Holdings is like one of my favorite things.
That's so fun. So fun.
Like 2 minutes, I'm doing it. And holding down R2 just to sort of fast forward as they kind of work through the monies and and all that. It's perfect.
It's charming. It really is.
Yeah, it's got that Yakuza-ness to it. I'm still not completely sold on the turn-based. I used to find the actual fighting easier because you could go in. I've talked about this on air, so I won't labour the point, but you could go in with 1 million stamina royales in your pocket. And even if you weren't the right level, you could literally just slowly beat this dude. Whatever boss it was, you could beat him into the ground. With the turn-based, that is not happening. You've got to be the right, so it's a proper JRPG in that regard. You've got to be the right level. You've got to And the whole job specialization thing to me, it's like, oh God, guys, you know what? Add another layer of complication if you want.
See, I love that. I absolutely love that.
Like, you're changing your job specialization. You're changing the job specialization of the other people in your team. Then you've got to level the job specialization up. Then you've got to level your weapon up with all that niff-naff and trivia you've been collecting around. Then you've got to go see the weapon dude, and he's got better weapons. And it's like, oh, when does this ever end? Whereas back in the old school, I could go in, rest the controller on my leg, and absolutely annihilate the buttons. And it would normally result in me coming away the victor, feeling like I'd got carpal tunnel and I'd lost feeling in my fingers, but I didn't care. There was that moment where you could turn it round, quickly pause, go into the sub menu, drink a stamina royale, and get back in there and do it all over again. Now you kind of got to wait for your turn, or you've got to put them in. If you're playing auto, you've got to put them in a healing phase. The AI ain't really good enough, so you kind of. The AI's good enough, I suppose, in a street brawl, but if you get into a boss battle, you've got to live and make every single move of your turn count. Because if
you got to be precise, yeah.
You've got to be right on it, and you've also got to very quickly work out what these guys' Achilles' heels are, because quite often you'll smash up against them like a tsunami against a cliff, and it's every move you're pulling out, it's like resist. It's like, what is going to destabilize these guys? And then one of the sub characters, you'll do one of their sort of out there moves, and it'll put them into a state of confusion or something, and then you can really rally on these guys and start wailing on them. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's certainly kind of boned up my JRPG skills again in a sort of pantheon I didn't really want to be boning them up in. It's certainly got the Persona hat out, and it's been like, oh crikey, I thought I was playing Yakuza, but now I'm 60 hours deep on a traditional JRPG. I just want my life back.
It feels like Persona 5.5.
It does in that regard. It does. But do you know what? I'm enjoying it. So I've always, for probably most of this year, I've just been quietly grinding away on that. This will make
once you beat the holdings, by the way, like the game gets astronomically easier because you become so rich that like a lot of the top gear you can just buy, and then that auto battles become a lot easier as well.
Yeah, well, I'm within the last throes of being the top company. Do you know what as well? I've really enjoyed the sub story of that whole business arc. Mm-hmm. Where you're kind of like, there's a guy who's been running this sort of cartel really, and it's been throwing these obstacles in your way in terms of the shareholder meetings, and then it's these people are actually in league with this dude, and yeah, again the storytelling in the game is still top tier.
Finish that off because you do unlock a really cool character afterwards that you can use in battle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It becomes easier after.
Well, before I even move on to Ishin, I've got to play the man who erased his name, which is digital only in the UK. I was toying with the idea of getting a physical from Play Asia, but I've got every other physical release, so I'm probably going to end up going down that road. But I'll get the digital initially. I'm quite excited for that because I believe it's only about a 20-hour game, so that's going to be a nice almost palate cleanser. This is the one that was going to make you laugh. I've been playing as soon as Portal comes out, George grabs the gen previous to the gen that he's got. So he's gone deep on the Vita. He's got himself, I mean, I had Helldivers before, and I always used to fritter around with it, I suppose, towards the end, but I'm all in on it again now. Helldivers 1 on the Vita only. I'm not going to play anywhere else. That's still enjoyable. The community is still really active for it. It's just a nice little thing to have. Been playing Helldivers 2. Jumped into a mission with OG Tom. Had just a nice bit of old school chat with him while we played. I don't normally go on headset, but I kind of saw that more as like a phone call, to a family member, a sick, poorly little weirdo family member, but still a family member. And what else have I been playing? I think that's probably it, to be honest. I've still got Uncharted 4, another playthrough to finish. I really need to kind of dust off Alan Wake 2 and just get that last third of the game finished. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's just kind of just propped up at the wrong time. And F1 Manager's probably going to get deleted. It's not the latest one. I've talked about this a couple of episodes ago. It's like last year's version, but it's so similar to the first. I've tried to grind through another couple of Grand Prix, but I'm so done with it.
You just burned yourself out, huh?
It's just so similar to the first one. I should have just carried on playing that. It's a shame because there's nothing fundamentally wrong for the game, but as a yearly upgrade, which is how they're doing it now, every year the new one comes out, like EA or FC or FIFA or whatever it's called, or MLB even, which I'll confess to you now, the latest MLB looks great from an aesthetic point of view. The menu's beautiful. The additions to the gameplay that they've made are great, but sadly, it's too many years on the bounce of MLB for me to really even get out of AAA. I'm like, this is. And every year you kind of got to wipe your progress of your previous game. Some of the old MLBs let you carry on, import your character. These new ones, since we've had the PS5, that's a big no-no. So every time you got to recreate yourself, scan your face, you start yourself up as this plucky 18-year-old again. It's like maybe I've got some actual physical time off at the back end of July into August. Maybe at that point, I can maybe just unwind into it. I still love the game, as in baseball, and I do have still like the biggest soft spot for MLB, the gaming franchise. I think it's great, but next year, maybe if I don't play this one as much, because normally I'm hundreds of hours in on a career mode, road to the show, but this year, nowhere near. And I'm wondering if I can just sort of maybe not go as deep this year. I can just sort of have it on the periphery that next year, MLB 25 or 4, whatever, which way it rounds goes with the yearly connotation. I can't remember. It's just one big MLB game to me, but I'm hoping that I'm going to arrive at that and be like, yes, something new. They definitely need to refresh the pitcher game. I know everyone rocks up to play MLB just to hit big home runs and be the big, I'm the judge. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not into that. I'm into the whole sort of pitcher slow. The pitch clock hasn't helped, but, slowing the game down, doing the pitches, getting some dirty inside, outside pitches, just
the minutia of baseball.
The real grit of baseball. It's not just to turn up and go, wow, mate, you hit the ball wheel far. It's there's so much more going on at a granular level in a game of baseball that really you can only appreciate from the pitcher's point of view. So, yeah, that's due a definite rework. The changes they've made to the menu and Road to the Show, when, classic Road to the Show, you would always be in your changing room, sat there, scratching your balls, waiting for your next match. Now you could be on a coach, you could be on a plane, you could be in the team room, you could be in your own bedroom. Like those little things, it didn't cost them anything to do, but it's added so much more variety to those inter-match interstitials that it's like, oh, I'm not even in the big leagues getting the podcasts and the TV shows and all that sort of AAA extravaganza, and it already still feels pretty good. So, yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully for next year. And like I say, a bit more spare time on my hands to just mindlessly plump away several hundred hours into a baseball career mode. Yeah, I think I'll be ready in 12 months' time. Gentlemen, that probably brings to the end my gaming activity. And now we must pull on what I call the big boy trousers. I'm going to button up my button down, pull the tie up around my neck as I ask you gentlemen to look all journalistic in what you're doing, because it's time for the news. Beep, 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 beep. That to me sounded newsy, but we'll let the fans.
Quite retro, but it was newsy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're below a certain age, you might need to know that that's the sound of the newswire coming in. We scoured the very darkest regions of the internet to bring you the latest stories. First up, PS digs deep into its back catalogue. This is quite the mouthful, but I'm going to go for it. Are you ready? Platform fans rest assured knowing that from 18th of June, you'll be able to play every... glutton for punishments. Every single mainline Jak and Daxter game on PS5 and PS4, the release of the PSP platformer Daxter, I will stand by this. Arguably one of the best entries in the series will round out the selection with Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, Jak 2, Jak 3, Jak X Combat Racing, already available, Jak and Daxter, the Lost Frontier, the PSP and PS2 Epilogue, which is actually super hard to find on PS2. Not so bad on PSP, almost literally impossible on PS2. Launched earlier this year, it should be noted the original trilogy, along with Jak X Combat Racing, are still tied to Sony's old PS2 emulator, meaning they don't play as well as they necessarily should. Earlier in the PS4 generation, the Japanese giant ported a select number of PS2 titles to its current gen console, but the emulation was sloppy and lacked quality of life improvements. The firm's new PS2 emulator debuted alongside the likes of Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, or literally Sly, as we would know him, includes quick saves and rewinds, so it's great to see all the Jak and Daxter titles readily available on current hardware. This is the kind of preservation we want. We also suspect all of the Sly Cooper games will eventually make their way across, and we'd love to see the Ratchet and Clank series follow, especially the larger Overlook spin-off. And I like this one as well, Secret Agent Clank, which very few have actually played. Now, off the back of this, boys, let's go old school. Bonus news. You probably never played Ghost Hunter. Me and RGT are big fans of this game.
I saw this bit of news and thought, oh, you are going to be all over this.
This was a sort of game that made you wonder why you were buying a PS3 back in the day. The visuals, the textures, everything that Ghost Hunter's pumping out on PS2 is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Developed by Cambridge Studio, the UK-based team that would later be renamed Guerrilla Cambridge before being shut down following the release of the PS Vita's excellent Killzone Mercenary. I don't think that's what killed them. I think Riggs VR killed them, if I'm honest with you. It was published in the United States by Namco, such as was the mistreatment of the title by platform holder Sony, but it's actually a great little game, coming to PS5 and PS4 as part of the PS Premium from the 18th of June. Now, the game is effectively a third-person shooter, although it's somewhat of a prehistoric one. The title predates Resident Evil 4 and Gears of War, so the combat is fiddly and archaic. Movement is ridiculously restricted while you're aiming. Combat sees you weakening ghosts before capturing them, with Ghostbusters-style traps and ecto-wands, for want of a better word, but there's more to it. You can also control a spirit to solve puzzles or lure phantoms into specific positions. While it received middling reviews at launch, this was a forward-thinking title with excellent presentation, and it's one ultimately a lot of people overlook. The North American version was updated to include a number of gameplay improvements and fixes. God damn you damn Yankees compared to its European counterpart. We've been struggling on with, quite honestly, control-wise, treacle. This is obviously a time when patches couldn't be issued because whatever shipped on the disc is what you got, but we'd recommend this given a go. To be honest, it's one of the best looking PS2 titles upon its release and still got lots of interesting ideas despite its ancient and inconsistent gameplay. A single playthrough will take you 10 hours, so you've got the time and you're curious about the subject matter and story. Be sure to check it out. Now, RGT, I know you there's a lot of news to cover here, but basically I want to get balls deep with Seb. Seb, have you played Ghost Hunter? Are you aware of it? Is it on your periphery? Have you ever seen it before? Or is this a game that's got you going, hold on, hold my spectral pint here a second, pal, while I pick up this ancient-looking control pad and get myself a little bit Ghost Hunter-y?
See, I've heard of this game. I've never touched it. I did not own a PS Vita until later in life, so
This is a PS2. It's a PS2.
Oh, PS2. My bad. Yeah, but no, I didn't touch this on the PS2 either. So I'm glad game preservation is coming through, and I'm glad like the people who are jonesing to replay this type of game is going to be able to. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to be touching this one, if I'm being honest. There's too much out there right now.
I think it's good as well because with like with the new PS2 emulator, you've got your rewind as well, and like they've done with the PS1 titles they've been launching. I have downloaded or the first Sly, which is it just Sly to us or Sly the Raccoon to us? I think it's different.
I think it's Sly Raccoon to us, and I think that our American cousins brothers.
Oh, Sly Cooper, isn't it?
They call it Sly Cooper Thievius Raccoonus.
That's it, yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
So I have downloaded it. I've heard good things. So
you've never played Sly?
No, I've downloaded this one on the PS5. I've played Sly back in the day, but I've heard good things about this emulator with the rewind and slightly improved textures and stuff. So
I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that it probably don't look that great because obviously I think the place where it looks best right now is probably on that PS3 re-release that went on the Vita as well.
The trilogy, Sly trilogy.
Yeah, was it called the Sly HD? They batched a couple
HD,
of
I believe,
games. Yeah, Jack and Daxter, Sly. I think we even got Ratchet and Clank, really.
Because that's on PS Plus as well, which is odd because you've got both. But I suppose you're gaining with the rewind feature and
absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd be interested to give it a go.
So I have a question. How excited are y'all to play Astrobot later this year?
I'm pumped for that.
Yes, I can't wait.
My only reservation, and me and RG talked about this a couple of episodes ago, and we'll test the waters. We'll see what the cult has done to you. Now, I was excited to see it. I was kind of hyped. I'll be honest with you. And when it showed up at the showcase, I was like, yeah, we'll have a piece of this. But having played the Playroom, VR Playroom, having played the Astrobot VR missions, having played the PS5 launch banger, Astrobot, a lot of what I've already played, which not everybody has played, fair enough, is in this game from what I can see. So it's going to be massive, according to them, the biggest game they've ever made. So no doubt recycling of ideas and textures and bosses and things makes some level of sense, especially if it's kind of a little bit unknown to the mainstream.
And I think a lot of people's first time playing it was on the PS5 because you either played it on
for sure
the VR, and if you didn't have the VR, then you missed. So I suppose
you kind of missed those bangers, didn't you?
Yeah, they're sort of thinking it as their second big game.
But the thing that I wanted to ask you about, Seb, is in terms of spaceships, the PS5 is the most butt-ugly spaceship ever to rear its retro blasters.
Yeah, that was
and then fly into deep space. What was your take on that? Because obviously when it came out of the sand without the face plates, the PS5 looks pretty badass naked with its fan hanging out. But as soon as it sort of booted into space and the face plates attached and this cumbersome white brick clumsily made its way through this warp portal, I was thinking, my God, boys, you've really blown the farm. What was your thoughts on that? That element?
I don't like that element at all. I think it is ugly as a spaceship for sure.
It was a stretch to make that look like a spaceship.
Yeah, I will say him actually having a TIE fighter, which is basically the PS5 controller, and navigating like that was fire
and
really cool.
Considering the haptics we got from the first game, to imagine that thing transforming in your hands and you feeling the plates move and whatnot, which is certainly within its capabilities to replicate, I am very excited to see that.
It's one thing, sorry to go back, but when I did play Avatars, one thing I will say, the haptics are pretty good in that game with the adaptive triggers but that was the battle limit. But they did incorporate that, which I didn't think they would, because a lot of developers missed that. So
Ubisoft does a good job at doing that, though.
Yeah,
you just PS5. Wait till you've played Forbidden West till you talk to me about haptic triggers, pal.
For sure.
Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm hearing good things about Astrobot. It's they're saying they're gonna have PlayStation themed bonus worlds as well, and then they're probably looking at 80 different levels in this game. So I think that's
we've not just heard this. I do believe this is confirmed in hands-on previews. So, give it to me. And there's nothing wrong with a greatest hits montage of some of your previous stages, but I kind of want that to be on the very back edge of minimum. I'll be honest.
Well, George, to be honest, let's be serious here for a second. You remember how no one played the Wii U? and the Switch just re-released all the Wii U stuff. And,
no,
and
don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do.
VR is the same way. No one's playing. No.
My other grip with Astrobot is when the VR launched, Sony put out a statement, and I've been scouring the internet, and I want someone maybe in the Discord to find it for me. But every game that we release going forward is going to have a VR element. So when I heard Astrobot, I was like, bam! Cannot wait to see. Even if it's like Concrete Genie and it's hidden in a sub-menu somewhere, you put the headset on and you wave a bloody paintbrush around. I'll take it right now. I'm starving.
So just like Pastor Longhorn tricked me into VR. The cult. Just like Pastor Longhorn tricked me into the cult here in Texas.
Pastor Longhorn! Mumsy, write it down.
New law.
Master
Longhorn.
Yeah, my boy, come and sit on my knee. I'll show you what a cult's all about, my special little boy.
You have drinking the Kool-Aid that is PlayStation VR. They have lied to you two times in two separate generations. They basically came out with a VR component and they haven't supported it.
The thing is, what gets me is, in a way, right? Okay, last time I got kicked in the ghoulies like this by business, it was Xbox with the Kinect. And I'll be honest with you, I never felt so humiliated in my life as that guy that was clumsily stumbling around his living room that he'd hastily rearranged so the Kinect could even see his face, let alone his hands, to get this thing playing. Now, I DDT'd that through a flaming exploding table covered in fluorescent light tubes. I was that done with it. It was like, no, Xbox, you've had your go now. That's it. You're done. Sony have kind of done it to me twice, and I'm forgiving them only because on VR1, I had some really standout great experiences. On VR2, I'll say this alone, it's a bit of a big ticket because you could probably get a flight to somewhere quite gorgeous in Europe and then go kayaking for real. But Kayak VR was worth the entrance fee, and I didn't need to get wet. Not like that. I didn't need to get wet at all. And No Man's Sky was the bridge that shadowed between PSVR 1 and PSVR 2 and gave me that warm feeling of like, yeah, do you know what? If I did actually want to get stuck into something, there's a whole universe to play through here. And we've not even dusted off Resi 4 or Village in terms of their VR modes as well. So, I mean, after Biohazard in VR on VR1, I mean, enough's enough. I mean, I don't mind a horror game. I'm not someone that really gets that really like scared by that. But in VR, I don't care who you are. That stuff is terrifying.
Yeah, I'm a chicken, so
in that Biohazard game, when that dude comes through the wall for the first time, I'd only just eaten my sandwich and it was already in my panties. I was like, oh,
Mumsy, get a wet
wipes. Oh no.
Absolutely terrifying. And normally in a game, you can kind of see where a guy's going to do a jump scare at you. You know, the wall is kind of like a little bit different texture. You're like, oh,
distorted a little bit.
Yeah, there's a little bit of something going on here, guys. Are you kidding here? Like, oh, here he is. I'm not scared at all. But in VR, honestly, this peripheral sound effect. You're like, what was that? What was this? What was that? And I played it on the flat screen. You just ran down the corridor. Playing it on VR, and I'm literally crawling on my hands and knees, terrified. So there is a place for it, but yeah, you're right. I've been done dirty 2 times.
For sure. And to be fair, like I think VR is a really cool concept in games. I just don't. They haven't shown you any respect as a VR gamer, especially when like
any respect as a consumer. Full stop.
Oh no, for sure not. Especially considering like arguably the two best like titles in VR today, Asgard's Wrath and Half-Life Alyx aren't even available on this platform. And you paid what, $500 or $600 for this? I
don't need you in here waving the books about. It's bad enough.
I think you can use the PSVR 2 for Steam.
Oh yeah, on PC now, but your PC has to be beefy enough.
Yeah, but you need the adapter. You need the adapter to make it work. So it's gone a little bit. The PC boys are going to get hold of it. It's going to be a little bit like PSVR 1 with us, with the breakout box and all the other associated dribble. But do you know what? In terms of a high def VR headset that's got some really nice bells and whistles in it, they could do a hell of a lot worse. I think if you're at the premium end of VR gaming and you had the disposable income and you were like, oh, actually, I'll give this a try, I don't think you'd be disappointed. The haptics in the headset alone, to simulate
probably one of the most advanced VRs there is.
Sure is.
There on the market.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Apple right now.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like the screens probably could be better, I suppose, in terms of if you've got money to literally rinse, I'm sure there's something you could get that'd be way better. And I know a lot of people have moaned about the lenses and the technology that's in the VR2. But to be honest, chuck the headset on and I don't imagine there'd be many complaints. Gentlemen, what's this next? Seb, what's this next bit of news?
They came, they saw, they kicked its ass, but they could have shown more. Ooh. Everyone, it's time for the next news story. This year's Xbox Gaming Showcase was absolutely fantastic with the entire 2-hour runtime, or 90-ish minutes if you exclude the Call of Duty bit, but most of us did. Providing some amazing reveals that left us in absolute awe. And apparently there was more that could have been shown. Kind of Funny's host, Paris Lilly, good guy, I met him, by the way, who has appeared on Xbox's Showcase in the past, mentioned on the, Restyria? Restyria,
Reset era.
Oh, Reset era, my bad. Reset era, that he'd spoken to multiple people at Xbox about this. Told you that Showcase was going to be good, he said. And the wild thing is, I had multiple people at Xbox telling me there was so much more that they could have shown, and Gamescom is shaping up to be a big show too, end quote. So some of the games that we didn't see at the Xbox Showcase included Towerborn, Marvel's Blade, Clockwork Revolution, Contraband, Everwild, and a few others. And those are just the first party titles that we absolutely know about. Xbox hadn't had a big showcase at Gamescom for the past few years, so here's hoping we might have another showcase in store for us in late August. In any case, there's clarity a lot in the pipeline at Xbox, Bethesda, and Activision Blizzard right now. So, gents, what do you think about this story?
I mean, we talked at the beginning, and the Xbox game showcase came along, and I'll be honest with you. Previously, Sony had done what we talked about. You can quote it on air as saying by me and RGT, a good job. I came off the showcase thinking, that went okay. I mean,
yeah, it's all right. Yeah,
I expected there to be a little bit more. I kind of wanted maybe a surprise. We had a few things lurking around in the background that I expected to see that didn't make an appearance. I was like, oh, okay. Do you know what? They're just trying to keep their powder dry, keep people's anticipation up. That's okay. Maybe didn't want to drop just a CGI trailer. So yeah, okay, fair enough. Then Xbox turned up, opened its lunchbox, and they had everything in there. And it was, I'll be honest with you, it was a pleasant surprise. They managed to pull in not only their own studios, but some of the periphery third-party studios that also showed their games during that time that actually sort of swelled it out and made it look good. Same with the PlayStation Showcase. There obviously are some tertiary titles that are multi-platform. But the Xbox Showcase turned up and smashed it out the park. For me, I know I'm a bit of a nerd and it's super boring, but that flight simulator, I was into it. But when that flight sim dropped, I was like, oh, yeah. But then when they got to the jobs element, I was, oh, my goodness gracious me, I was moister than moss on a spring morning. It was absolutely beautiful to see. It gave me SnowRunner vibes. It gave me Farming Sim vibes. It gave me everything. So I'm intrigued to see what that holds. But to think that they actually sat on stuff is staggering to me. But is it staggering when you think about how many studios?
Yeah, I think all what's gone on as well. God, did they need this to be good? And I think
we've had shows titled "Xbox need to show us something soon." Xbox, where are the exclusives? We've been begging them.
It's been bad news after bad news, and up till the recent interview, Phil Spencer disappeared, and then clumsy interviews from
Sarah
Bond, and it was a poor show from them, and you were just thinking, come on, you need to do something positive. But to be fair, that it looked good, that showcase, I must admit. Best one I've seen for a long time.
Seb was off air when that whole sort of we're going to be on everything story broke, and I'll be honest with you, was not helped by A, social media, B, the lack of noise coming from them, and C, their influencers, paid or not, along the way, that literally ran that story into the ground. There were so many rumors. It was so hard to pick out. I should imagine 1 million kids picked up that afternoon and took their Xbox down to CEX or whatever you've got in the States and hopped it in for a PS5. And it was way too soon to be making that call. But the console was literally, if you'd have took a thermometer to the Xbox corpse a couple of months ago, it would have registered as dead.
Yeah. And I think the problem is a lot of people say Sony are too quiet at times. They don't say a lot. Whereas I think maybe, but I think sometimes Xbox are too vocal. They're always, they're with the gamers all the time. They're friends with the gamers, and Phil Spencer's game with people. And sometimes you just need to say, look, it's too much. You need to take a step back from that, run the company, get some games going, and sometimes they send mixed messages. They're over at Tango DreamWorks a year ago, giving them awards and saying how brilliant studio they are, and, you're our foot into Japan and making it bigger. And then a year later, they're shutting them. And you're just like, if you're over there giving them their awards and saying that, just do it in private, because everything's digitally, you've got a footprint, and everyone will bring this all back up. Yeah. So you're leaving yourself open. I think if they're a bit more quieter, we'll work away and, do these games like they've been showing us, and sometimes they sort of trip over themselves a bit. But like I say, the showcase was fantastic, I think. I thought it was brilliant. Best one I've seen, like I say, for a long time.
I'll be honest, I should think the shareholders breathed a sigh of relief as well, men, because
Definitely.
It wasn't looking great. And then, boom, they delivered when they had to. I want to see some of these actually come home now and actually genuinely be playable. I mean, the Fable
they got to deliver.
Yeah, Fable was interesting, but let's face it, we've been looking at the Fable for some time now.
Yeah, and Perfect Dark as well. It's another one that's been
they came too early with Fable with that CGI trailer. Then we got that kind of giant gameplay sequence that we saw, which kind of made us feel like Fable was a lot closer than it is. We've had another gameplay experience, kind of like an amalgamation in the last showing. I'm a Fable fan, even after the Kinect game, and that's saying something. Even after Fable 3, and that's saying something. But I like the comedy of it. I like the world building that they've done. I like the world of Albion.
It felt Fable to me. It did feel Fable.
Oh, it absolutely felt Fable to me. And one thing that I kind of picked up on the periphery of on social media was like people were saying that one of the in-game characters didn't look very good in terms of aesthetically pleasing. And I watched the trailer again and thought, that's a beautiful woman. In terms of gameplay, it's realistic. In terms of the aspirations.
Are you talking about the main character?
Yeah, I think so. In the trailers, that female character, isn't there, that was being spoken to? You can probably pick your sex and you can probably adjust your face as you go through. You know what these games are like. But I did find that in the modern world a little bit of a weird thing for people to be saying. She's not good looking enough.
They done the same as Star Wars, didn't they?
Well, don't forget, at the same time, not that long ago, people were complaining about Horizon Forbidden West and Aloy having hair fuzz. Women have light down. It's okay.
It's just.
And I don't know. I just, to be honest, that bit was so tone deaf. I just sometimes think that we as gamers, broad brush, I know, but we don't do ourselves any favors when we get on the internet. We make ourselves look absolute clowns.
Oh, it's just ridiculous.
For sure.
I'm excited for it. I don't want that to suck any of the hype away from what I saw. I think it was a good showcase. Like I say again, just to double down on it, the fact that they had other stuff in the quiver that they were like, actually, no, leave it. That's enough. We've done enough. And they could have just gone all in, like boom, all of it, and would have been like, oh my God.
It's like the thing is, I think outside of Clockwork Revolution with the titles that we actually spoke about, a lot of these games are games that would have probably drugged the showcase down, if I'm being honest. Like Marvel's Blade is still early in development. Another CGI trailer would have probably felt like
that would have done
nothing
no good for it at all. Totally agree.
Yeah. Towerborn is the same way. I don't know a soul on this planet who's excited for Contraband, and then Everwild, no one knows what that game is because we've only seen the CGI trailer. And reports are that game's still in development hell. If that's the case, then another CGI trailer would have done it a disservice.
I mean, Everwild, it needs to rock
5 years now.
12 to 18. Yeah, for sure, mate. I mean, that needs to rock up soon. Otherwise, that's going to end up being like, because by the time that, I wonder if it's stuck in development hell because it's been in development for such a long time that some of the concepts that they had, they've already been beaten to market with. So they're sat with this game that kind of looks like a little bit of pup. It probably plays well. It probably looks good, but it's probably not doing anything new because other games have come to the market with similar ideas and aesthetics, and it's kind of left them feeling like carrying this sort of weird-looking ugly baby that they kind of want to show to people around, but they're also scared that people are going to say that's one ugly baby.
I think I've said before a similar thing about Fable and Perfect Dark. I'm excited for those. I think it's brilliant, but are the demographic of the Xbox going to know what Fable is it going to be lost on them?
To be fair,
here's the thing I want to bring up. Sorry about this, George. I think those two games showcased a lot better for a younger generation about this is the gameplay, this is what this type of game is versus Indiana Jones, where Indiana Jones, I did hear a little scuttlebutt on social media that, like some people were confused because they thought it was a VR looking game because like the first person you actually punching, it's like that doesn't showcase well to a young, especially if you're trying to appeal to a younger audience or trying to capture a new audience. This, at least Perfect Dark, I think almost didn't need to be called Perfect Dark. It looks like a really cool brand new game that if you would have told me this was Purple, a game called Purple, like, and it was just about a spy action game, the gameplay is compelling enough that it looks intriguing. I don't think anyone's signing up for that game saying especially after a certain age demographic, saying I want to play Perfect Dark. They're saying that's gameplay
what I was going to allude to, like the 40-year-olds that are waiting for Indiana Jones to come out and play a first-person experience of that. And to your point, that's the bit that doesn't really fit well with me. I kind of want that to be a third-person action game, but based on the history of the studio and the very crowded already third-person action adventure treasure hunting game, they had to flip it up, do something different, because otherwise it would have been called Indiana Jones. It would have been, if they'd have come out in a third person, it would have been compared to Tomb Raider, quite rightly,
and Uncharted,
and I don't know if it would have had the grip to pull it off. Whereas if you flip it and say, okay, give me first person, all of a sudden those comparisons start to get morphed. All of a sudden it's really only comparable to maybe their previous games or maybe similar first person experiences, which kind of gives it a chance to get its own breathing space. I just don't know whether there's
anyone's going to take that breath.
Yeah, whether anyone's going to want to draw themselves through that. I don't know. It's brave and I'm excited for it as a 40-year-old man. God, people turn up and want someone older than their dad to tell them what video games are called. I realize the irony is not lost on me. Listen, the next 12 months for the Xbox brand set to be really exciting. I think they probably, no matter what's good for business in terms of putting their games on other platforms, and we've seen that's been really good for business because they've been doing Sea of Thieves especially, has been literally destroying the PlayStation charts since it came out. And that's a testament of it being a good game.
I think multiplayer is acceptable. I don't think that's a single player thing feels cringe to me still, because I'm like a live service game. You want to get a large audience. I get that.
Absolutely.
But I'm like, if you put a single player, like all your single player games on that other platform as well, I feel like what's the point in getting your platform at that point,
Well, I think that's the case, that maybe their own sort of console devotees are actually, that's the question that's on their lips right now. Like, I've got an Xbox, but if you're going to bring it to everything else,
might as well get a PC at that point.
Why would I stay? PC, get a PlayStation, get a Nintendo Switch 2, either which way. You're going to be able to carry on playing your Master Chief. You're going to carry on playing your Gears. Maybe not on the Switch, but,
at 15 frames per second, yeah. But no,
I've
they'll
paid
make it
full
work.
retail for worse, Seb. You know, we're gamers of yore.
So I have a question for y'all. Keeping it back on the topic of the Xbox showcase, it's like I do feel like this was a fantastic showcase. I do feel like there were elements that probably could have been, and these are nitpicky things. Like I feel like this would have been a perfect opportunity for you to basically, kind of like add that extra oomph by saying like, hey, all of Activision Blizzard's back catalog is now on Game Pass. Like I feel like that's a miss to where I'm like, I understand
feel like they're working towards that, but as far as I understand, like although the ink is dry on that contract, it's still not dry on that contract. There's still some other bits and bobs that need to be wrangled through. That deal's done, but it's not done, but it's done, but it's not done. I think that might rumble on for a while. They're getting there, aren't they? They're getting there. And whether that's through the ability to adopt the catalog or whether Microsoft or Xbox are just throwing hard dollars to kind of fulfill that promise, I'd be very interested to get a peek behind the scenes just to see which one it is. Because if they own the games, they own the games. No issues. They should be all on there tomorrow. But if there's still some final legal wranglings going on in some sub corner of the world who had an objection towards this thing and they've got to go due diligence and it's been agreed in the court, but then you've got the whole ratification of the whole thing to be put through yet. Maybe they just can't. So they're just throwing money at what they can to make it work for now. I think when they get there, that will be a moment that they will absolutely rinse. And quite rightly, because I would.
I thought that same thing. And then I was just like, oh, no, they have Diablo on there now. And I'm like, you have World of Warcraft on the PC version. And I'm like, it feels like those are like, and though they put the two biggest IPs from the Blizzard catalog, on there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So if you could put Diablo on there, you could put World of Warcraft on there. Well, World of Warcraft is old as dirt at this point. There's kids in the street that are younger that are like playing around right
They're
outside
using
right
a World
now
of Warcraft CD to throw at each other.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, they don't know what World of Warcraft is. I'm like, it came out before they were even born. So that's what I'm curious about. It's like, if you can do that with the old IP, then I feel like any IP should be available. But another opportunity I think is missing is like World of Warcraft should be ported over to consoles. I think that would have been a huge win. I don't play World of Warcraft, but I know the audience is there. I think that would have been a massive win.
Yeah, massive.
Now would probably not be a bad time to do it because obviously we've got the extra sort of headspace of the new consoles that could kind of make it work. And I think that if you were new to the franchise and you were coming in early doors on that, you wouldn't know any different. And I think that you would have a good experience. I don't know why they've walled it off. Makes no sense to me. Maybe it's just something that they don't think is. You would have thought though, and maybe it's just a time thing right now. But off the back of the success of like Baldur's Gate 3, you would have thought they'd be like, "Oh, there's an open goal here that we're just not kicking a ball in." But
and evidently,
again, we don't know, do we?
And evidently, ESO is still selling after 10 years. And I'm like, if that's still profitable, I'm like, just throw your biggest IP there as well.
I think the thing is, if you give everyone everything immediately, you've got nothing to get them hyped about. So you've almost got to, when you acquire these catalogs, you've kind of got to drip feed it in a little bit because otherwise it'd be boom, everything's available. And one of my bugbears with these online libraries is you go in there and you just can't see the wood for the trees. So then
Choice paralysis.
So you could take a game, shine it up 1 month, do a load of blog posts about it, do an official Xbox podcast about it, do some YouTube reels, get people pumped for the idea of what it is, this game that they've maybe only seen on the periphery. And then, maybe once a month, just boom, boom, boom. You've got content. There's one thing that they're not lacking right now is content. And if you can drop all that content right away and let people find the highs and the low spots, or you can curate that menu.
I agree with you. They're not doing that yet. And that's what's baffling to me is like, I'm like, you have almost 20 years of Call of Duty. Just put one Call of Duty game a month.
They've got the digital version of Chef Ramsay in the background. He's just gone in the fridge. He's found a gone off Call of Duty game. He's smelt it. He's like, what's that? How long has that been in there? And Phil Spencer's like, oh, I don't know. Who cleaned the fridge? Who cleaned the fridge? We cleaned it yesterday, chef. This wasn't cleaned yesterday.
Exactly. I'm like, you can do a Crash Bandicoot every month. I'm like, a Spyro. I'm like, you got everything now.
Well,
I'm like,
there's the opportunity there to have a little bit of fun as well by kind of bringing PlayStation's mid-90s or very first mascot in as a war animal against the PlayStation now. Now, whether that's the classics re-release, and I don't know whether there's some guidelines there depending on who owns what. It's a bit muddy in terms of what is owned within Crash and what's not. But even if you did the re-release Crash, you could have some fun with that. That's already there, but shine it up, make a big deal of it, and put it in a bundle with 4 or whatever it is. But there's mileage to be had, but I don't really feel like Xbox is really that interested in the little wins. Which that would bring. They're kind of just looking for that absolute mega, much like PlayStation is. They're just looking for that mega win, and they're willing to like literally just bin a studio off if it just doesn't produce a mega hit today. It's a bit short-sighted, but it's not the first time it's happened in the industry, and I don't think it'll be the last. RGT.
Yes.
Bit of retro news here for you sexual Tyrannosaurus. Do you want to sing the opening line, seeing as Elfwick's not here, or what's going on?
You wouldn't want to hear me sing. We'd lose so many listeners. That wouldn't be worth it.
No, I want it.
I'm not singing. Sorry. It would hurt your ears.
Do you want to speak it in the... Because, everyone knows that opening line.
What? Do you want me to read the title of this next article, or do you want me to read?
Yes, I want you to read the title of this next article.
How?
Doom, 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 doom.
I want to be the very best. So buy this car to prove.
Doom, 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 doom.
An unofficial reproduction of the NES Nintendo World Champs. Carter Ridge.
Da, da, da.
Has been successfully
I got what you were putting out. I got what
you're with me. RGT.
I got what you're putting out.
I'll just read it. I want to be the very best, so I will buy this cart to prove. An unofficial reproduction, nice, of the NES Nintendo World Championship cartridge has been successfully backed via Kickstarter, raising a total of 16,593 British pounds sterling at the time of writing, with an initial goal of 8,452 British pounds sterling. Labelled as a new pro version to celebrate the upcoming 35th anniversary of the 1990 World Championships event, it will contain the original version of the cartridge alongside new pro version. What's the difference, you might ask? Well, the pro version is more difficult, to put it bluntly. Unlike the original, in which players started in World 1-1 of Super Mario Bros., you instead start in World 8.1. Meanwhile, Rad Racer starts at level 3, while Tetris starts at level 8. You'll be given the option to set the time limits from 5 minutes all the way up to 15 minutes. The thing is, it's ruddy expensive. You're looking at 140 euros, which is 119 pounds for a purple cartridge of the game, while a limited edition gold cartridge, which was already sold out, signed by competitive gamers Robin Mihara and Thor Ackerlund, costs a whopping 350 euros, 296 pounds, and they're sold out. Wow. Furthermore, we can't imagine Nintendo itself would be pleased with the endeavor, particularly since it's about to release Nintendo World Championships NES Edition on the Switch, an entirely different product, mind, but still. One commenter inquired about the product's legality and whether Nintendo might block its release. But Mihara responded, "There have been dozens of NWC repros made and have not been shut down." This will be shut down.
I mean, he's right. He's right in what he's saying.
Yeah.
But he's wrong in the fact that no one's made a big deal Kickstarter about it. And
exactly.
No one's been charging somewhere close to 350 euros, £300, or let's face it, $300 by the time the dust has settled and the smoke has cleared. I wanted this in here because I kind of find like this whole sort of blood sucking of retro gamers and, you know, the collectors out there. This is aimed squarely at them. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know whether I like it or I don't know whether I hate it. That's kind of why I brought it here. I want it in the discussion.
I think if you made a replica NES cartridge that looked like the World Championship cartridge, you might get away with it. But slapping Super Mario Bros. ROM on there and Rad Racer and Tetris, which I'm not sure about Rad Racer, but the other two are owned properties of Nintendo, you're likely to be shut down because
Rad Racer's theirs.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so they're going to shut you down, aren't they? You can't just dump their ROMs on a cartridge. You know what Nintendo are like. I mean, I'm sure,
mate. I mean, it was only in the past week, news cycle of the last week, that we kind of missed with the Bobby show. And everyone needs to go listen to that because just for his description of what he stumbled across in Astoria Park, it's absolutely hilarious. So immediate mass download. But yeah, there was a lot of there was a large ROM hosting site that just backdoored out all their Nintendo stuff and a lot of their other sort of more questionable ROMs. And you think to yourself, well, if they're nervous and they've dumped the back catalogue, this isn't looking great. Nintendo's getting more and more aggressive in its protection of its IP, be that old school games like that I think a lot of young kids would turn their nose up at.
Well, you get these emulator systems you buy off AliExpress and bits and pieces. You know,
I've got one. I've got a one with a load of NES games on it.
Yeah, there's 10 a penny. You know, and Nintendo, you know, by the time they'd gone for a lawsuit to shut these companies down, they're called something else and they're doing another product. But this going on Kickstarter and advertising Nintendo's ROMs on something you're making money off, it's going to be shut down, isn't it? Surely.
I mean, it deserves to be. I
agree with you. You can't just legally take people's ROMs.
To be honest, you know what Nintendo are like? I went outside in a Super Mario t-shirt, I looked down and my chest was blurred. This is how dangerous they can be.
Yeah.
What do you reckon Pastor Longhorn would make of this?
Yeah, he would probably love this sort of thing. A little shady man.
I reckon he's got a bit of Ray blood in him, if I'm honest.
Yeah. He might be a distant cousin.
Pastor Longhorn has got to be one of the best characters this show has put out in the last 10 years, and it's only been going 5.
He's the most conniving character we've come across in the UCP.
Yeah, he makes Fagan Ray look like a kid. There's an old school blast from the past. Listen, I don't think there's any community corrections, but if there were, if we've slipped up in any way and you want to put us right, we can't be right all of the time. Just 30% of the time. You get in touch with us. You can either RGT. Tell us how these people might get in touch with us and say that I don't even know what a game is. George needs to be removed from the air immediately. Seb needs to be raised up on a plinth. We want to see more pyros. We want to see him come down for the next podcast like Shawn Michaels to WrestleMania on a zip wire. Or for the Cooler Kids Logan Paul or whatever his name is.
Well, if you want all that, you can contact us at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com, or you can DM us on Instagram or Twitter, or you can jump on Discord and get your community corrections on there and tell us exactly how you want to see Zeb zip line into the next show.
Oh, absolutely. Pink and purple pyros going off left, right, and Chelsea. This dude's coming down like Bret the Hitman Hart, but with a way bigger budget.
And then the song Sexy Boy is just playing in the background like Shawn Michaels.
Oh, that's what you want, is it? It's Sexy Boy.
I'm not your average boy.
Longer than your average boy. I like it. Right, with all that done, the UCP is known for a particular character, for want of a better word. He's missed you, said. He's been calling. He even called at Pastor Longhorn's, but Pastor Longhorn told him that you weren't available. I'll be honest, I'm glad he was there when Mouse the Bounty Hunter rocked up, because you needed you needed a getaway vehicle that can transcend time and space and just get you safe. Shall I bring him down? Let's throw me the gate key, because it's time for a peek in what we affectionately call Stingray's boot, what's nestled between some counterfeit nappers and a dodgy copy of Battle Friend Door this week. These are the new release highlights for the week, June 17th to June 23rd, 2024. Listeners, these are out digital or physical, or will be by the time this podcast. By the time this Bozcats.
Yeah, Bozcats.
Bozcats.
I don't know what a Bozcat is, but all of a sudden I want to collect all of them. Or could be, it's in your feed, could be region dependent. I don't know anymore because Ray's staring at me. Spring stop wattle whoa. His eyes are bearing into me like a ring wraith, if I'm honest with you. Gentlemen, I'm going to give Seb time to think about something other than Billy Bob Country Ray. In Crocs, wearing a straw hat and dungarees. I want to know how you're seeing him, RGT. What's going on this week?
He's tried to dress basically like the Ghost Hunters guy on the PS2.
Oh, really? Bad quiff a lot, or?
Yeah, he's got bad quiff, but he's almost looking like a cross with the Hoff. So he's got a bit of a quiff, bit of a mullet. He's got some seriously tight leather trousers on. I mean,
how tight? Can you see the silhouette of Little Ray? And I'm not talking Wayne.
Almost. It looks crushed, if I'm honest. I mean, it's a car crash in there. I mean, it's in a hell of a state. But he's got some Ghostbusters gear with him, some knocked off Ghostbusters gear. So he's
oh wow,
he's got that. Wayne is like a NES cartridge, but he don't quite look right. He's sort of gold, he's sort of purple, and he's got Super Marvin Brothers written on him. So I don't think he's even got quite the correct ROM. Oh, hang on, there's a load of lawyers coming in chasing him. Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's been chased by it must be Nintendo's lawyers coming after him. So, yeah, so Wayne's doing loops around the garden at the moment. But, yeah, how about you then, George? How's the Sting appearing to you?
The Sting is appearing to me as I imagine Pastor Longhorn looks. Now, if you've ever seen Smokey and the Bandit, there's that guy with the big white 10-gallon, and he's got his little kid that looks exactly like him with the 10-gallon and the tie, the whole bag of tricks.
Yeah.
That, to me, is what Pastor Longhorn looks like. And Ray's turned up looking exactly like him, and Wayne's turned up looking like his kid. I have noticed on the front of what looks like the Nissan Bluebird to me, the whole classic steer horns with the fur wrap, kind of, I don't know, hot glued to the front. He's not pulling off the look exactly, but I see what he's going for.
He's made an effort.
Yeah, apart from when you get up close, you realise he's wearing a pair of cowboy boots, knee high, but they're actually Crocs.
Knee-high
Crocs. Knee-high leather Crocs.
Wow.
Pointy. They've got pointy toes as well, so they're proper, steer boots. He's not.
Is that wrong? I want a pair. Or...
Well, to be fair, I think he's doing a Kickstarter to get the Spurs, but I don't know, because you're close to him, you might get him chucked in for free.
Are they still called Crocs, or are they called something different, like cracks?
Calcs. They're called Calcs.
Calcs, okay.
Yeah, like cowboy Crocs. They're called Calcs.
Well, you're onto something here. Matter note.
Well, we always get inundated with the AI art, and anyone who wants to have a mess around with an AI art generator and chuck this back at us, I'm all eyes. I want to see how someone gets what I've just described as an image. To be fair, the best realization of what I've just said, I'm going crazy. In Digital Monkery, you can enter, but you can't win. Maybe you can win. I don't know. Let's see the best. It's not personal. It's just that you're always on the AI art, and I want to see someone else come up with something. But if no one else does, did you? Moncrief won another fridge magnet for his collection. I want to see the best of that. Hawks, the two guys for Smokey and the Bandit. That's going to take some describing. I tell you that now. But Raid. Seb, how are you seeing the Ray? And also his. I see you brought the UCP dog in.
Yeah, Biscuit's doing well. He's doing well.
How did Biscuit find his time in the cult?
He didn't join. He's not made for the cult life. So they had a dog door, and he basically bounced. He basically bounced. So speaking of the cult, I was there at the what they call the entry hall, right beside the entry hall, and I was walking in to basically the cafeteria, and I went to the cafeteria. They scooped me up like 3 cans of canned corn on my tray and such like that, and the brisket, of course. And they sat me and basically they forced me to sit down for lunch. And while I was eating lunch, like I was going to put the spoon of corn up to my mouth, and it was shot out of my hand. And I looked towards the entry hall, and I saw Ray there. And Ray was dressed. He was dressed in like a black leather vest. He had 2 gun holsters attached to his vest, and then he had spurs on his feet, boots on, and I kid you not, he had these skinny jeans on, which was completed the whole look, if I'm being honest.
Were they tight enough to see the Ray jewels as well, or was it also were they too tight and they crushed the mini Ray?
No, it was tight enough that you could probably make out outlines, but it was like loose enough that he was able to do roundhouse kicks and such. So, like he was able to do like these Walker Texas Ranger style kicks and such. And I was like, oh, Ray's got moves. But anyways, so in the entry hall, there's Ray, and then there's this little mouse, and they're both standing there side by side. And then like I hear a commotion, and next thing you know, this mouse and Ray to go back to back, and they basically say, we got to get him out of here. We're bad boys. We can do this. So basically the Ray was like a bad boy, like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. And so, but a countrylized style version of that. And, basically they loaded me up. Ray scooped me in. Ray scooped me into his arms, a very muscular, like bowling pin style arms that he has, and basically threw me into the back of a hearse, and we drove out of there. And
I have this image now. I have this image now of him picking you up in his naked, strong arms, and you kind of like just sort of burrowing into him, almost sort of newborn style, and just looking up to him with his wide open eyes in awe of this dude.
Oh, I indeed curled up. I was just like, oh, thank the Lord. I was like, someone's getting me out of here. Someone's getting me out.
Just for the smell of blue Stratos.
Yeah, I indeed curled up. The man had a musk and an odor to him, which, was probably from the Texas heat. But I digress. I was ready to get out of there, so I didn't mind it so much. But anyways, he was walking past the front door, bodies of the cult littered everywhere. And then you could just see out of like the chapel window across the hall, you could see, Pastor Longhorn looking at us like, I'm going to get these bastards back. I'm going to get them back. As we drove off into the back, I could just see Phil. Sorry about that.
It's fine. It's the third time. It's a hat trick of swallows in the history of the show. We needed it.
So, yeah, you could just see Pastor Longhorn just basically waving at us at a distance like, I'm going to get you back. So Jason...
He now owns the rights to Fur K?
No. So I didn't sign anything away, but I become breaching contract in Fur K when I went off and left with the cult. So I have to smooth things over with them, or else they're going to drop me as a client. So
I know a Mexican streaming guru that would gladly extend the contract to ZetaMax Media. They're still the overall paymasters of the UCP. He's been in and out of court a few times. Things are a little bit crazy. He likes talc. It's not what you think. He just likes talc.
before I sign back on with the 4K, I'm thinking to myself, I might want to test the waters a little bit. I'm a free agent right now. I'm in nebulous legal ground, of course, but like there's a company that I'm looking at towards the end of this year, Shiny Bot Productions. There's a little bot by the name of Astrobot's coming out. He's representing the Shiny Bot Corporation, and I'm like, I might need to switch sides here.
Hang on a minute. You can't just leave the best fur rendering software house in the business. You can't do that.
They've been there since 2020 and they haven't put out anything new. And to be honest, they've been distracted making Spider-Man stuff. And I auditioned for Spider-Man. I didn't get the part. They said I was a little too old to be a Miles Morales type, so I'm a little spurned at the moment.
I didn't realize that 4K was so grounded in reality. Before we slip out of this sort of haze that we find ourselves in and realize that we're just talking to ourselves and that Ray was real or not, I don't know what he is. I'm going to grab this out of his sweaty Texan palm. Still Wakes the Deep. It's coming out on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X, June the 18th, 2024. Here's the blurb. 1975. Disaster strikes the Bearer D oil rig off the coast of Scotland. Navigate the collapsing rig to save your crew from an otherworldly horror on the edge of all logic and reality.
Anyone gonna play that one?
Kind of.
I don't know what to say.
Each time I see a little bit of something about this game, I get more and more intrigued. I actually think it's probably going to stand up quite well as like a kind of one and done little bit of an experience. To be fair, in the shadow of what's coming out next, pun intended, I guess, this thing, it doesn't stand a freaking chance. But yeah. Which one of you wants this?
Elden Ring. Okay. Shadow of the Erd Tree is coming for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. June 21st, 2024. Winner of hundreds of accolades, including the Game Awards Game of the Year and the Golden Joysticks Awards Ultimate Game of the Year. Elden Ring is the acclaimed action RPG epic set in a vast, dark fantasy world. Players embark on an epic quest with the freedom to explore and adventure at their own pace. Shadow of the Erd Tree expansion features an all-new story set in the land of the shadow, embedded with mystery, perilous dungeons, and new enemies, weapons, and equipment. Discover uncharted territories, face formidable adversaries, and revel in the satisfying triumph of victory. You're not going to experience that much victory, but people dive into the riveting interplay of characters where drama and intrigue intertwine that create a immersive experience to savor and enjoy. Gentlemen, are you going to be diving into the lands between and trying to become the Elden Lord once more?
I probably will eventually, but right now, absolutely not. There's so much more other stuff. I've still got to get through the base game. So, and I mentioned at the start of the show, I've been dipping my toe in. I kind of like the fact that the character and the build that I've chosen initially feels very Bloodborne-y in the animation to impact mode. And, I'm quite excited to carry on playing. Every time I sit down, I'm like, oh, I ain't got really long. I'm probably just going to play Helldivers. And that's not good for anybody. So I need to just mix it up a little bit. I need to get stuck into that. The game's, to be honest, fantastic, but I don't know if I've said this on air or not. I might have said this to OG Tom off air, but Elden Ring's got this real, even on PS5, it's got this real kind of weird PS3 aesthetic to it.
Grainy looking art style.
Yeah, grainy, nasty looking thing. I know that Elden Ring is absolutely not possible on the PS3, but Elden Ring looks like it's on the PS3.
I concur with you 100%. I never dove into Elden Ring in the sense that I think this is truly a game of the year. I understand why people love this game. I understand it's a fantastic video game. I played 40 hours of this game and came away thinking to myself, like, I probably could have better spent my 40 hours because I don't think I think for everything it does right in the form of gameplay, freedom, exploration, it does absolutely wrong in the form of like telling a cohesive story and also getting players invested into the world that's not, hey, let's see you get stronger and try to actually take on the beast of this land. I'm like, I wish they would have invested more time into not necessarily instead of lore building, investing more time into actually giving a story that a lot of people could grab onto in hour 1 through 5, if that makes sense.
I completely agree. I'm not looking for a handout here, and in some of their other games, you damn don't need one because they're very linear, really, in terms of how you progress. But Elden Ring is not linear at all. It's a massive open world, as it says on the tin, and they nail it. But you drop yourself in that world. And I know there are kind of like very subtle gingerbread trails of where you need to go, but they are so subtle, you're barely seeing them. And I think for the first 5 hours, which is a good example, I think those gingerbread trails should be just that little bit more obvious because I can see a lot of people coming on this game, especially because all the bigger boys have talked about the other From Souls, From Software Souls type games and been like, yeah, I want to be a bigger boy. I want to be a bigger boy. And boom, they're 2 hours in and they've bounced. Can't believe that many stick the landing, to be fair. Fair play to all those that did. Better man than me. Like I say, I'm kind of slowly peeling away the veneer layers and it's not alien to me because, it's a From Software game. I knew it was going to be this obtuse behemoth. I knew it.
Well, they kind of lied about the story aspect because they said, hey, this is written by George R. R. Martin or co-written by George R. R. Martin. And I'm like, oh, the Game of Thrones guy co-wrote this game. And then you play this game. And I'm like, oh, it's lore heavy. But then you also have to find that lore all throughout the game. And there's no really through line of a plot A, plot B, or plot C. It's just like your adventure is the story. And I'm like, I think that's, if I'm being honest and I'm being blunt, I think that's a lazy way of storytelling. I'm like, every game is basically your adventure is a story, but that doesn't excuse you from not creating a very good story, if that makes sense.
Okay. With that said, what's your mummy for this week?
Oof. I'm still going to be diving into a lot more V Rising. I think the fact that
no, you got to pick one of these. It's not been that long.
Yeah.
I don't know what Pastor Longhorn put in you, whether it was sort of Christian spirit
the
or what.
Corn, man. Yeah.
Okay.
The canned corn. But no, if it has to be, if it has to be between those two, I probably would. I don't know. I'd probably pick Still Wakes the Deep because it might be a shorter experience that I'll actually dive into.
Okay, but, well, I believe that'll be 3 pumps for Still Wakes the Deep. So
definitely.
Well done, guys. You've got the mummy on the box. It's the most sought after accolade in gaming. So reach out to us and we will get one dispatched to you immediately. With that being said, the only thing we got to do is grab a VHS at a Ray's boot. I'm going to go with a bootleg copy of Let It Be off the Disney Channel, the Beatles documentary, where I saw RGT. I now know that time travel is possible and RGT has the key because RGT went back in time and masqueraded as Mal Evans, the Beatles roadie. Now, I implore everybody on the Discord and who's close to the show who knows what RGT looks like to get on this. He's going to hate me.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the repercussions of your statement then.
There's
going to be AI pictures of my head pasted into this all over the place.
They don't need to. It's already done because you are Mal Evans. So that's my mummy. RGT, what's your VHS pick, friend?
I'm going to go for Critters. The 80s horror movie. Yeah.
I've actually never seen it. I've heard good things and never seen it.
Well, you can have a second copy. What are you also taking? Seb, what's your VHS pick, my friend?
Well, here in the US, I'm not sure if this is worldwide, but The Boys season 4 dropped today. At least the first 2 episodes, I believe. So that will be my mummy. And I'm so excited to dive back into that gritty, dirty world.
I think I've only done 2 or 3 seasons, so I'm quite pumped to see what's next.
Mm-hmm.
That shows production quality and the acting and the way it's all put together.
So good.
It's such a good spin on the superhero genre. Like, they would be assholes. They would be God complex the lot, and the way that's realised and put up on the screen and executed is really top tier. So good pick. With that said and done, I look down on the floor. I see the mauled toe end of a calc, and what looks like a haze, like a low-level fog, which I can only interpret based on the whiff to be that strange, elusive musk that kind of lulled Seb into like a safe feeling in Ray's arms, which I'll be honest with you is worth its weight in gold. He's gone. We've got our goodies. The only thing left to do. Oh, actually, we've got 2 jobs. RGT.
Oh no.
We've got to every single month a whole host of decent chaps and chapettes donate to the show to support the show. There are subscribers, and they're a hell of a lot more than that. They're our top tier loyal lovers, as far as I'm concerned. And one of their perks is that they get their name read out by us every single week. Could you furnish RGT Seb with the list of these kind people that
already have? This is on our little place.
Little place.
Wow. Okay. So while we're here, let's do it. So we've got the tiers. If you want to get involved, you're more than welcome to. At the bottom of every episode is a drop-down box. You can click that. You can head off to a little website and you can support the show to any of these levels. Here's your tiers. $3 tier. You get your name read out on every show. Easy peasy, right? $5. You get your read out on every show, and you get our yearly art merchandise. Every year we upgrade the artwork. You're going to get a copy of it on a fridge magnet. Similar. There's the $8 tier. $8 is transferable to GBP. If you're in the UK, you're getting a good deal. Read out on every single show. Art merch yearly, plus access to the Inglorious chat on the Discord. Now, we don't paywall the show. We don't even paywall the Discord. But if you want to get in there with all the other supporters, you want to get into that little private chat area where, you know, you're a super fan of the show and you want to just get that full-on UCB chat going, you got to be in there. And you also become Inglorious, which makes you a god amongst men. Then there's a $10 tier. Now, if you've ponied up for this, quite frankly, I'll have a word with the Pope because, to be honest, you need to be sainted. $10, you get read out on every show, you get art merch yearly, you get access to the Inglorious chat, and you get a quarterly Zoom chat with the hosts. Now, we're back up to full speed. We've got the Bobby and the Seb, East and West coasts of the world represented in spectacular fashion. So, transatlantic meetup is now on the cards. RGT's been, I would say, on at me is a bit light. He's been throwing bricks through my window with a note wrapped to them. He smeared some of them dog poo.
That wasn't dog poo.
Good, because I ate every gram of it. So, whatever it was.
You should have kept a straight face, RGT, because that delivery was amazing, by the
way. Flipping flawless. I nearly swallowed up now. We're at the end of the show. Things are getting dangerous.
Easy.
And you've had an absolute banger served up for you today, gentlemen and ladies. Quarterly Zoom chat. RGT's on at me. We need to get on with it. And we know you want it. So I'm thinking we could do like a quiz, or I could show you around the Farmerton Ponsonbury Manor. We could show you game collections or whatever. We could just get on and sit back and chew the fat, law aside. If you want to talk to us about anything, we're up for it. So we're going to dip our toe in with the first quarterly Zoom meeting. See what works, what doesn't work. Love your feedback on that. But we'll chuck up some ideas. I've got some video game quiz cards somewhere that I think might be quite fun, and we can obviously do a little bit of a
definitely
merch giveaway off the back of that. And we can send this stuff anywhere in the world, so don't feel like, oh, I can't get involved, because don't you worry about it. RGT's got contacts.
Oh, yes.
He can send...
Logistics is my middle name. Well, it isn't, as Andrew, but...
It's Gamer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That's
sorry.
what I was thinking too. I thought it was gamer.
broke the fourth wall. Phil, edit out Andrew. Edit out Andrew. It's gamer.
Yeah. Otherwise, your gamer tag is rat.
Wow, I can't go no further.
Let's not muck about. Let's what we
Right.
normally do here, Seb, is we take one about.
Okay.
So I'll start. So thank you to our subscriber, our supporter, Trestles, New York.
Next up, we have the amazing Italian stallion. That is Badabink Star.
Next up, we have Tingle Turner. Or Tuner, my bad.
Tuna.
Tingle
Say
Tuner.
Tuna.
You can read. Yeah. Big
Yeah.
tuna. That means I get now make space in the cupboard because for some reason now I'm joined by an axolotl, digital monkery, and Scotty, although he's got a shout out coming up. So who's next?
We've got Roast Space Monk.
The Gamer Grand as well.
RGT,
I'm leaving that in. I love it.
you're fired,
Why?
and then you're instantly rehired because I
I've
can't
been
live
fired
with that.
twice and hired twice in one show.
Hey man, you're making moves.
Yeah.
This is how you progress in any company. If you stick with the company, you're never going to get promoted. But if you leave, get something else and come back, damn, you're running the place. Up next, the absolute mega stallion, bald border.
And then we got Boba.
And we have Marathon Gaming.
Absolute stud, which means I get the immortal Sealmaster Elliot. It's worth joining Discord alone just to unseal a game and then send in the video because it literally crushes him. I don't know why am I getting off on crushing Elliot. The guy's like one of the loveliest people on planet Earth.
Yeah, it's a bit weird that. Apologise now.
I'm so sorry, Sealmaster. Who's next?
Sound like you're at a karate club then. I'm so sorry, Seal Master. Next up, we have the absolute unit, which is Ginge.
On that note, I'll tell you someone who's missing in action from the early days, Sensei Rios.
Oh, yeah.
Now, last time I was on Instagram, he'd changed his name. I don't know whether it was in homage to Bobby, but he's like Handsome Rob 7 or something like that. Like he's gone from Sensei Red Dragon Rios. He's now a Aldi version of Bobby. Get in touch, Sensei Rios. I mean, you had some of the earliest merch. He was one of the first t-shirts.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
fair play to him. So I've
Next up, we have Emma Sharp.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not on the apps.
No.
Okay, just checking.
Sorry, OG Tom.
Is she back from holiday at Farmerton now, or what's going on?
No, I don't think she's gone yet. She goes in the next week or two, I think. So.
Okay, all right. Well,
I don't want to say a date in case OG Tom's around.
To be fair, once a sexual predator, always a sexual predator. Next.
Oh my!
Wow.
We're family. It's okay. Surely. Okay. He's a big fan of comedy as well. Situational awkward comedy he's a big fan of. So a man who's never situationally awkward at all and always fit for every emotion and appropriation ever. It's Harvey Retro. He's so in, he's automatically given consent.
Love to hear it.
Next up, we have the wonderful Greg, which is nowhere near Berlin.
Next up, we have my favorite on this list, Mumsy.
No, hang on a minute. So I've been stitched up with the RGT fan club again.
You love it.
I don't know who these guys are, but I don't like them at all. No one's ponied up for the GN fan club.
Why would they?
You're right. I'm the most despicable creature on the internet, so I deserve.
Thank you.
Fans. Who's next?
Pete Brocklehurst. Thank you, Pete.
Absolute stud. Is it my turn? So it's
Seb next.
Okay.
All right, then I have Billy Marmite.
Absolute legend.
Which means I get Simon Pryke.
Well done.
I think that was a good try.
And I get left with the man. Do I have to say this sexually as well to him?
Is that me who's contractually obliged to say it sexually?
That's what I mean. That's fell on me. So do I do it or do you do it?
I'll give it a go.
Go on then.
Stuff going, Geef.
So
The man, the myth, the legend.
I'm not even going to comment on that.
I thought I was going to get loads of stick for when I absolutely fluffed his name in post-coital noises. I absolutely thought I was going to be done. But I got off quite lightly, to be fair.
Well, you started off doing it the first few weeks in sort of a deep, sexy voice, and you've now turned it into some sort of B-rate adult movie.
I'd say it's B-right for me and Fat Zangief are in it.
It gotta be. It gotta be. He starts off at B and goes up from there.
with all
Woo!
woo, turn into a Ric Flair woo off.
Yeah.
With all that said and done, gentlemen, ladies, we thank you so much for your very, very kind donations on a monthly basis. You are making the difference. Hopefully, you can see that we're trying to pour that back into the show in terms of the merch and the bits and bobs that we've sent out already in the early adopters. We want to continue supporting you. We've got some live events coming up, which we're attending, and we'd love to see you there as well. And we've got lots of exciting things planned. So yeah, thank you so much for your support. It's game changing, and it's certainly allowed us to be able to help people, or at least offer to help people, and really game-changing stuff going on. So we thank you so much for what you've done. The only thing really left, and I want to make this a quick fire round, if we may, gentlemen, because my enthusiasm at recording in the day is waning, because it's now, by any reckoning of the world clock, 10 past midnight. Gentlemen.
Yeah, that's what it is over there? Gosh.
No, I'm joking. RGT.
Oh, okay.
But we're running close. RGT, What are you hoping to play this gaming week?
I think it's going to have to be a start on Forbidden West. Probably some more Rollerdrome. And I must get back on to Bioshock 2 and get that finished. Because I'm desperate to play that again. So I must get back on that. I've left that too long. But yeah, probably mostly those three, I think.
I'm moister than a rotten ham sandwich.
Good.
Is that moist?
I think, given time, very.
Yes. Yeah.
I would call that slimy, but okay.
That fits for him as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, everyone, I'm hoping
my
to play...
reputation outside of this show is toast. Then what are you hoping to play?
I'm hoping to play some more V Rising. I think that's an amazing game that more people should check out. If you have a PS5, PS5 or PC, definitely check that game out. I think especially if you like vampire lore, and also if you like Diablo and crafting, like light crafting elements, definitely check that one out. I also think, I beat Balatro this past week, so I'm probably gonna move on to greener pastures as far as that game goes. But probably just V Rising, if I'm being honest. I think I found everything in Prince of Persia, so I think I'm good right now.
Okay.
What about you, George?
Well, I did actually forget to mention that I've been playing an awful lot of Dave the Diver. I really quite like the game. My only frustration is, dude, the food serving. It's a bit like, oh, can we just get this out of the way?
Because it's tedious.
I want to get back to the diving. I know we needed to break the gameplay up a little bit, but I can't make Dave run very far. And I'll be honest with you, I've got that many things on the menu and that many people coming now. So many people go home disappointed, and so much sushi goes in the bin, and so much effort went into catching it. Throw me a bone. Someone, please.
Hire more people. Hire more people, man.
With people come costs.
They do. They do.
With people come costs. But you're right, that's probably what I should do. It's beyond my capability for Dave to do on his own anymore. But yeah, that game is actually really fun. And of all the games as well, it really fits the Portal really nice. Are
you playing on Switch?
No.
Oh, thank goodness.
No, I'm playing it on Portal mainly.
Oh no.
It's fine.
PlayStation Portal is pretty good?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
To be fair, once I'd gone full sort of white jacket, tech specs, geeky glasses, the whole bag of tricks, pulled a pen out of my top pocket and fiddled with my internet settings and all that sort of stuff, it worked flawlessly. If you're brave enough to do that, And I've heard success stories where people haven't even had to do that. But
Mhm.
bear in mind, you're going to have to go deep on your router settings if it's not working straight out the box. And now I can take mine away. Not far, admittedly, I haven't pushed it to its limits. But at least 2, 3, 4 miles as a crow flies. No problems at all. I might as well be sat at home. So very pleased with that.
Are you going to play the Godzilla part?
I've got the DLC. It came up free at some point in time, and I grabbed it because I think it's going to go paid very soon. Or in fact,
I think this fall, right?
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know if it goes paid or whether it just gets. I did read that it was just pulled from sale, so whether it was like an exclusive time thing that was a bonus for the movie. But yeah, it looked pretty cool. And there was another one as well, the Dredge DLC as well. I picked up because I was like, yeah, that's got legs, and that was free as well. So I thought, yeah, I'll grab it. One last touchstone before we hit the outro, gentlemen, and I wondered what your thoughts were on this. PlayStation's had an outage. It's not quite the PSN outage of back in the day. But PlayStation Stars has gone.
Yeah.
No, not yeah. Because where's all my digital collectibles I've spent ages collecting? And where's all my points I've spent ages collecting? Like pony up and...
I'm just hoping they stop talking about it, if I'm being honest.
Thing is, it's free stuff. Doesn't cost you anything.
I was saving up for a £20 voucher.
Oh, Diddums, you would be, wouldn't you? I reckon we ought to get Pastor Longhorn on the phone. I see RGT being a prime candidate for the cult.
Oh, I'm all over it. I'm already
no, man. Are you a corn eater?
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, you're gonna fit right in.
Not orally, anyway.
No. You definitely fit right in.
Wow. Is it still in the tin or?
No, it's on.
But anyways,
it's on its third cycle of the human body. He just cleans it and then just serves it back up.
Wow.
Yeah. If you bring a lot of butter and everything, they'll love you.
I've got plenty of butter.
Oh, RGT's the dairy king. I don't know why I said king. I was going to say queen, then I was like, oh, he's a man. I better call him a king. And it came out as basically ended up sounding like queef. That's all we have time for this week, listeners. As always, thank you for your time. We look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. And remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. See you, gentlemen.
See you later.
Bye.